Hello and welcome to Nollywood Film Club. I'm Mr. C, a Barocco critic. I hope you're doing well. Yes, this week is also long. I don't know what's going on with the NFC members. We are getting verbose, as I mentioned. This was supposed to be a short space, but honestly, if you listen to the space, you kind of understand why it goes on for a bit. We had a lot of things to say, and this project is very special in ways that it had us discussing things that we haven't really discussed before on the podcast. So I would say there's good reason for this. So please listen to all of it. It's good. Anyway, I won't be as verbose as I already have been on the space, and I'll just allow you to enjoy Nollywood Film Club discussing the Zikoko Life shorts. All right. Welcome to Nollywood Film Club. We do discuss Nollywood every Sunday, 6 p.m. WAT. Today we'll be discussing the Zikoko Life shorts done in association with I forgot the name of it. It's Cabal Media. I think it's Cabal Media. Apologies if it's not, but I think it's Cabal Media. Yes, so we'll discuss what we like in these
Blue
the
House.
short. What is it you say?
Blue House.
Yes. I think Blue House is show running. I don't know how this thing is working, but it was Zikoko mixed with sort of a portion of that cabal, which I think is called Cabal Media or Big Cabal. I can't remember what their name is. Run by Blue House. Anyway, it's all of them involved. We will discuss what we liked in the good. We'll discuss what we don't like in the bad, and we'll disagree in the pushback. And then we'll do a summary at the end. So because these are three shorts, we're not doing them one by one. We're doing them as a whole. So in terms of, we are going to be discussing the Zikoko Live shorts in general. You can shall go into any specific one at the end. But that's how we're doing it. You still have your minutes. All right. So Vanessa, tell us what you liked about the Zikoko Live shorts.
I liked everything. Guys, I'm sorry. Hey, Tim. You people don't understand the kind of joy that I have felt these past 3 weeks on a Saturday morning at 9 a.m. This was what he's talking about, 30 minutes alone, and you're giving me a full story that didn't take 8 hours of my goddamn time. Okay, well, no, let me be actually serious now. What did I like? I think all three of them were incredibly technically sound. All three directors, well, four, because the first one had 2 directors, they all have an eye. And we rarely say that, guys, but they all have an eye. And like, you can see it with the choices that were made. You could see inspirations in some of the work, and you didn't need them to come to the timeline a week after and put 2 pictures side by side and say, can't you see we were inspired by so and so? You know, these people took their inspirations and chiseled them down to what they were telling, the stories they were telling, and how it made sense for the worlds that their films were set in. The first film, what is it? The way, how was it called? Something about us, sir. I think that was the most beautifully shot one. Well, honestly, I can't lie. Usamaka's and everybody one was beautifully shot. Guys, there's some incredible shots in this. I'm gonna pick out the ones I thought were incredible. In the first film, it's the shot where everyone has seen that shot. It's the shot that's seen around the world. I don't know if it was around the world, but around Nollywood world. It's the shot when they're in with the imam in the mosque and he's talking to them, well, talking to her, and it's just the framing of that. Mwah. In Dika's Something Sweet, which really was sweet. um there's so many shots in that, but I think my favorite is on the flowering tree with the mat outside. It just felt breezy, felt very rom-commy. It's just great, man. And then in My Body's God's Temple, it's the shot where they're on the balcony and they're having that conversation. It's just beautifully framed. But then there's that shot where they're in the park and he's asking her if she still loves him. Just beautifully framed. I'm like, wait, you people are just giving me things to love here. Um, what else? What else? What else? I liked the Hausa in the first one. I thought it was really lovely the way it was interspersed in their conversations. The way they spoke felt very natural. Again, everybody hire Caleb Richards. I don't know what to tell you. Cast Caleb Richards in your thing. You see, he's not only love that Caleb Richards can do. He can also play a horrible man, as we can see from that first film. Just, my man has, he don't have range. Cast Caleb Richards, please. On to the two men. I'm sorry. Zikoko said, you people will do God when? Ogrania, and in case all of you don't know me, I know a lot of you are claiming that Ogrania is your husband, is your man, is your one thing. I want you people to realize that for 2 years straight, I was Ogrania Brenda on this timeline. That it got to a point people started calling me Brenda. If they would not know me, they'll meet me, they say Brenda. That's how synonymous I was with Ogrania's Brenda. I want people to know that that's my man. And I think the way Dika wrote that film, guys, I can wax poetical about how Dika wrote that character Leke in Something Sweet. Leke didn't have to be brash. Leke didn't give us fetishy where it's like, oh, I like older women. You know, there's that thing that younger men do where it's like, oh, I like MILFs. I'm like, no, that's not who Leke was. Leke just liked Ziora. It wasn't about her. Ziora could have been 25 and Leke would like Ziora. It wasn't about her age. Leke just liked Ziora and that's all that mattered. You know, I remember seeing this. I remember the first time I saw it. And I told Dika, I said, that scene outside the restaurant, and it might seem like a small thing. And people are like, what's the point of that line? I'm sure I've seen some people are like, what's the point of that line? But I thought it just solidified how he was like, yes, I'm younger. Yes, I'm a soft-spoken type of man. There's no gra-gra. But he literally said, tell your driver to go home. And she said, why? Because I want to take you home. And he asked her why. She asked why again. He said, because I want to. And to be honest, that set the tone for the rest of their relationship. Because the reality of their relationship is because Leke wanted to, and so did Ziora. And this was and you know, my favorite thing about it is, yes, she had a her about, you know, for like 2 seconds. But once Ziora was set on the fact that she wanted to explore this, they both just explored it. And I thought it was great. Um, that final scene where he comes and gives his rehearsed speech, fantastic. Sales girl, what is her name? Also fantastic. I too would be rooting for them. I too would say, bring your flowers and shove it in my madam's face. If she doesn't want to take a hint, this man loves you. It was great. Then on to My Body's God's Temple. Andrew, you're bouncing. I just want to say, I wasn't familiar with your game, and I'm not talking about how you look because I've always been familiar with that. If anybody knows, I can spot beauty from 300 miles away. But it's not about his looks. It's about the acting abilities. Now, I was not a believer, and people have said it's because I didn't watch this later half of the African Magic 360. Was it 260 show Dilemma? I didn't finish Dilemma, guys. I quit like before they became adults, so I didn't get to see Andrew's performance in that. It's a lie. You can't tell me hands up. I'm going to speak about Andrew. I was pleasantly surprised by Andrew in this. He was earnest, a real yearner, ladies and gentlemen. This is all I've been asking. If you're going to cast men as romantic leads, I need yearners. And Andrew Yobotin was a yearner. Uzramaka was incredibly beautiful. Everybody was just beautiful in this. Dark skin was shot like magic in all of this. Like, Uzamaka looked beautiful. Her girls looked beautiful. Everybody's skin was glowing. It was just gorgeous. The lines in this man said, we are in a conflict. We don't hate each other. I said, yes. You have my heart. I said, even me too, I have your heart. You know how the hashtag for that film is Zion loves Oma? I just want to say, perhaps, could Zion love Vanessa?
All right. You don't do. I have a feeling Vanessa may like these shots small. All right.
Yay, just like a little bit, not a lot,
All right. Okay. Thank you. Elizabeth, please tell us what you thought about the Zikoko Life shorts. What you liked about the Zikoko Life short.
Yeah, thank you. I like a couple of things. I watched it yesterday on purpose because I needed it to be fresh in my head. And, let me have that thing to say about it. All right, sorry about that. So first thing that I liked about it is, can we talk about the colors? Can we talk about the colors? But before we talk about the colors, this short, I want to say that it's thoughtfully constructed. I'd like to just mention that, and then we can go straight into the colors. They were earthy, they were bright, and they were just right for the story. The visuals perfectly match the vibe of each of the parts. Like the first film. I'm not going to remember the films, guys, so I'm just going to say first, second, third. I'm not going to write title rather. The first film felt traditional and conservative, and you can see it in the colors, in muted tones, brownish, blackish. Even the house, right, the location, it felt very traditional. Like you see the house, you've seen that house before. It's older, it's family, it's familiar. The second film was more modern and solid. Sorry, I keep going in and out because my baby keeps coming to ask for something. The second one, more modern and solid. You can also see the same colors, like earthy, and you see the earthy. And another thing I really noticed is that with the second one, wore more of the ajire, more traditional clothing. Really nice. I like the story. And then for the third one was full on new modern aesthetic, but also earthy and bright colors and really good use of color. I love that progression. And it's not just about the looking good. The stories itself, even the way I arranged was smart, at least personally for me. When you're moving through different social issues and offering sharp commentary, the first one more focused on, the first story, again, similar to even the vibe of the color, more conservative because we're dealing with story around female the female autonomy in marriage, actually for coming from the conservative Muslim background, and then we move into the older woman who falls in love with a younger person, and then the third one, Steve Christian who needs to really have sex with her husband. So I like the way it was sandwiched. Like it got progressively romantic. Let me put it that way. First of all was romance, more of self-love, standing up for yourself. The music was also spot on for me, was on point. I'm not even going to compare it to other things because, last week we had so much to say about the music, but here feels like the score did exactly what it was meant to do, and the scenes breathe and it was needed. It was around when it was needed. And now the best part for me is the acting and the dialogue. The characters, both the men and women, they felt really real. The script is like full of quotable lines. Most of it, like the three, can't remember all the quotes now, but like there are really like quotable quotes in there. And I generally have like personal favorites now. But I also loved how much was said without saying anything at all because the actors used mostly non-verbal cues to show all their internal conflicts, letting us see the things that were left unsaid. So you could pinpoint the exact scenes that changed everything for the characters. Go give your brother. Tell him to give it to you. Personally, I feel it was brilliant. What else? Go try it. So the last thing that not last now. sorry, I just need to talk about the conversational tone. I'm not so sure. I feel like the characters feel incredibly real. I think I've talked about that. They are based on the Zikoko Love Life stories. This is why I feel like every character needs to be written like they actually exist. So I love that the smart narration, The first story starts at home with her. Oh, there's a clever juxtaposition that I noticed in the three. It's that makes you feel the character's journey. So the first story starts at home with her kids, and then it ends also same in that house. Only this time she's ready to leave, and she's telling the husband, I'm going to live with the kids. Remember in the first thing, he just sat there. She was struggling. She was stressed. I'll wrap up. But the ending, this time around, she's sure, she's certain. Then the second juxtaposition, there's one where it starts with him walking into a store. It also ends with him walking back into that same store, to win her heart. And then the last one, it wasn't in the beginning, but you can juxtapose when she showed up in the church, crying, telling God, I did all of this for you, da, 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 da. And it ends also with her going back there with a well-deserved smile on her face, no less. So yeah, I just kind of like that full circle storytelling with the three. It just hits well. So, and I forgot to say all the men, beautiful. All the women, especially the last one, the friends, everybody, 100 over 100. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Elizabeth. Uti, do you want to tell us some of the things you liked about the Zikoko live shows? And just before Uti, you go, just want to remind people of the name of the films. The first one was called What's Left of Us. The second one, Something Sweet. And the last one, My Body, God's Temple. All right. Just in case you want to refer to them. All right, Uti, please tell us some of the things you liked about the Zikoko live shorts.
Yes, I will tell you some of the things I liked about the short. But before that, I want to shoot my shot in case anybody is here anonymously. So to Michelle, to Ogranya, to Andrew, and Ozamaka, my name is UT, and I can be anything you want me to be. Anyways,
Greedy. Yeah, greedy. Yeah, greedy. You don't even shoot your shot to one person.
how
Yeah, a greedy person.
greedy! Anyways, to continue, I think everyone has said everything I liked. I like everything about most of them, like about all of them. But particularly the last two, I like the acting, I like the dialogue, I like the beautiful men and women in it. I remember, so I didn't know Andrew was the one in Watangari. And I remember watching Watangari, I could not get past the fact that he could not pronounce Aisha. And I just disliked him for that reason. So imagine my surprise when I'm watching this, I'm like, wow, who is this person? And I go and look, I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I was hitting on you before. But that's what like good script and good acting can do to an actor. And I appreciate him in this. And for the second one, I remember the scene where like O'Brien was looking at Michelle when she came in, like that first scene. And he's like using his eyes, and I said to God he was looking at me in that scene. But anyways, that's all I have to say. I didn't have much to say because yeah, everyone has said everything I had to say, but I really loved it.
Wow. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thanks, Uti. Clearly feel some type of way about the Zikoko live shots. All right. I think next I'm going to Stephanie.
Hi. So what did I like about this? I really, really liked each and every one of them. Uh, as a whole, what I liked is that everyone was outside. They showed us the market, restaurant, bars, church, and parks, and I really liked that. That was a breath of fresh air. Nobody was just cooped inside and showing us the bedroom and parlors, and that was really good. For individual things, first of all, I just loved how everyone was beautiful. I mean, that's what you need for a romance, honestly. I feel like this is something I could make edits out of. I've never felt this way before about Nigerian movies. Like, I could make edits out of each and every single one of them. And that to me is just very, very nice. If I could pick one out of all of them that I really like the most, it's the first one. What's the name? I think What's Left of Us. I feel like excuse me, I feel like the progression, it just progressed really, the progression was natural. Everything just came together very well. And I just really loved how, I mean, again, men's audacity. And I just loved how the woman at the end just, it just made sense, and I was really happy to see that. But yeah, all in all, this was really nice. I enjoyed everything about it, and again, beautiful people. So that's all. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Stephanie. And Uchenna, do you want to tell us some things you liked about the Zikoko Life shorts?
Yeah, I thought that altogether they were very, very good. They were really great. I think that this kind of material is exactly the sort of thing that is needed to market Nollywood internationally. We've had so many disagreements about that in the past where people say, oh, well, the answer is to do authentic Nigerian stories. And I didn't really know what that meant. But I think this sort of captures it because it shows modern Nigeria in an authentic way, but tells the stories in a way that's very universal. And, it looks good. It's extremely, we overuse the word intentional, but I can see a vision, not just a vision in each individual film, but overall, that everything is so carefully curated. I mean, the cinematography was incredible, of course, the art direction, the casting, everything being put together in service of a particular look and not things being thrown up there just because they supposedly look good. I look at certain scenes like in Something Sweet, like where they're having well, it's not really a picnic, when they're sitting outside and, you can see the lush greenery and then the pink flowers in the tree and then the pink on the blanket on the ground and the blue. Everything was really put together amazingly. And, it's acted with so much sensitivity. All of them were really great. I think that My Bodyguard's Temple was the most fully realized. And I was telling somebody yesterday, I know that this is a very premature thing to say, and I'm thinking a lot of people may think I'm crazy for saying this, but I honestly believe that Uzamaka Power, at least based on this one film, is the best director working in Nollywood today. And I think that if she continues along this path, we are going to look at her as a legend. And I think we're very, very privileged to see her at the beginning of this because, her shot choices, her camera placement, her scene construction. I mean, not even getting to the performances, which was something else. I just think that, she brings the same kind of keen intelligence and very modern sensuality that she's been known for her in acting, and she translates it to her directing. And I honestly think she's the best director in Nollywood, period. I mean, I don't know. Maybe she'll do another movie that won't be as good, but based on this one film, I think she's the best director in Nollywood. And we're going to come back and everybody's going to say I'm right.
Oh, hey, whoa. This is big. We have Uchenna, we have Vanessa on the same page. That's covered all the bases, basically. That's
2 weeks in a row. We can't keep doing this.
that's covered all the bases. Oh my goodness. All right. Okay. Shagun, do you want to tell us some of the things you liked about the Zikoko Live shorts?
Hi guys. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. Yeah, well, a lot has been said, so I'm not gonna repeat any of what people have said before. But for me, dialogue was beautiful, was dynamic, was not forced. All the actors brought their A game. Sound design, okay, all the actors brought their A game. I could feel. But first of all, I don't even do mushy. I don't do mushy. I don't do romantic anything. You can't catch me there doing any of those things. But there was so much buzz about Zikoko Life stuff. I just said, okay, let me watch something sweet. Ah, my God, Michelle. Oh my God. So yeah. Okay, let me have pure thoughts. So everything was dope. The chemistry, the tension the films provided was absolutely amazing. I think this is what we've been complaining about, and I believe everybody involved decided to take notes from conversations we've been having and they decided to fix things. And when you put in so much there were a lot of technical things that they did right. Like I used to tell my colleagues when we were arguing, film has rules. When you follow these rules, everything else is icing on the cake. So just to touch on some of the technical things, the lighting was perfect. Almost perfect, because nothing is really 100% perfect, but the lighting was perfect, was cinematic. Their use of color was another amazing thing. They followed color theory, the 60-30-10 rule. I could see it in a lot of all the shots. Oma's outfits, there was a lot of use of the red to separate her from the background and everything, and made it pop and just gave us something visually appealing to look at. The framing, the frame within a frame, rule of thirds, they employed. It's almost as if while directing this thing, she just had the book of filmmaking open as they were shooting this thing live. That's what it was, and that's what made it the amazing masterpiece that it is. What else? Yeah, I've spoken about short composition, dialogue. Nobody was screaming across all. There were no screams, as I would always, that Nollywood is used to. There were arguments, there was confrontation, but nobody was screaming. Kudos to them. Sound design was amazing. What else? Yes, I loved the part where Miriam was talking to the doctor. The dialogue there was just so informative. They didn't give us all that regular thing. Oh, this so has cancer, and then that's it. We don't know head or tail of what it's about. They just give us some stupid narrative around the cancer and everything, and that's where it is. But it was very informative. Why am I having this discomfort? Why do I want to do this? And everything was just so beautiful to watch, and the progression was amazing. Ah, my God, the sex scenes. Oh my God, the sex scenes. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say about that. That was beautiful. But yeah, the technicality of it was amazing to see. And I can say, as like Uchenna said, this if they continue along this path, then Nollywood is saved, as far as I'm concerned, because this is what I've been talking about. If you need to be able to do stuff properly in your shorts before you start to move on to bigger things. So, I mean, after 2 or 3 more releases from this team of people, any feature-length film that they bring out, I'll be first in line. And that's pretty much what I have to say on that as far as the good is concerned. Everybody has said almost everything that I've wanted to talk about. Yeah. That is that. Yes, and the use of color. Okay, ADR was dope. The use of color, I think I mentioned color before, but they were very, very specific. And I'll just give 2 examples. The part where the use of blue with Ziora's outfit to push her out of that, and then when they were in bed together, when his mother came to visit, there was a use of monochromatic colors there. There's just so many things that you will see in the theory of film that these guys executed in their projects, and that is what contributed to making it the amazing masterpiece that it is. Yeah, that's it for me. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks, Shagun. Izzy, do you want to, I think it's Izzy. Izzy, do you want to tell us what some of the things you liked about the Zikoko Life shorts?
Hi, am I the one being called? I don't know. Just trying
Yes,
to.
yes. Sorry,
Oh,
I
good
won't
God,
be.
because I was like, oh, I thought they skipped me already. I just want to start by saying that, Uchenna, I agree with you. I think Uzumaka is the most, we don't deserve a Uzumaka. She's out of this world. Like, she's amazing. I remember just watching that film and I had to scream. My partner was close to me and I screamed and I called him and was like, look, Uzo has done something that the world needs to see. It's just so amazing. She's one of the most, yeah, I completely agree with everything Uchenna said about Uzumaka. I think she's one of the most amazing director that we have in Nollywood. And I want to start by saying the scenes I love. I think everyone has said almost everything I have to say. But I'll start with what is left of us, right? The first scene, that scene where the fighting scene. Because if there's anything this film does not do, that I'm so familiar with Nollywood, right, is conflict and how they sort of use conflict to somehow, I don't know what's the right word for it. They always use conflict to, at this point, I will use distractors from the narrative or save themselves from whenever they've done something ridiculous. They have to just throw in a bunch of conflict and we just get so distracted from the film. And I don't know. But with this film, conflict was done so beautifully that I could not help but, I don't know what's the right word for it, but it was so good. You see that fighting scene with Marianne and her husband, where they keep moving from the room to the kitchen, and I have never in my life seen something so well done in Nollywood. It was so, I just could, I repeat that shit like 3 times. I had to go watch that thing again because it was so good. I don't know if you guys, so I'm someone that pays attention to small details, right? See that part where if you go to the roundtable discussion they had with the directors, that scene, that part where she was in the kitchen and then she took the plates, she was doing her stuff, and the husband was, they were still having the conversation. I just cannot believe that was done in Houghton. I'm sorry. I know it's very small. These are small details, but we've suffered so much in Nollywood. We have suffered that when we see things like this, I cannot help but scream. I was like, we can actually do this? Like, these are people I'm watching. It doesn't feel like it's something that was done, or I don't know, it was just good. It was so good. I cannot help but scream again. What was the second one? What was it called? The one with, the something sweet by, I love that man. I think I have a huge crush on him. He's so beautiful. Again, small details, right? You see the scene where he was with I don't know her name, but the 40-plus-year-old woman, and then when he saw her for the first time, guys, go back. I don't know if you all missed that. Just go back and rewind that shit when he looked at her. And someone said, I think it was Olana, I don't know who said this, that it never felt, so he's falling in love with her, he's loving her, never felt like a fetish. That woman can be 26 something and I'll still believe that that guy truly loved her, right? Even the scene where we, as viewers, we expect some sort of thunderstorm, where the part where he was at the marketplace and the woman asked him, is that your son? Right? And I don't know if anyone does this, but with me, right, so, scenes like that in Nollywood, I get this, oh my God, here we go again. There's something that is expected that comes up with those sort of scenes. But I don't know how to explain it, but it's so ordinary. It fits into the plot, right? It was not over dramatized. It was just there, right? We said, okay, watching that, you expect that this would happen. And this is, of course, this would come up with such a narrative. But even when that happened, it felt ordinary. It's just like, okay, it happens and we moved on. The casting came up and it was just there. It was so good. It was just beautiful. Even the scene, I could say a lot of things about that film. I think that was one of my favorite. The scene where, I'm sorry for saying things, those small details, I just have to say it. And I think that's what really made me, where they met the mother for the first time and the woman just said, oh, I like your forehead. I don't know, where did they bring these people? Every single person, everybody was just on point. I do not understand. I was like, I had to, there are times I pause. So, I watched these things. I had to watch them. I think I watched Something Sweet 4 times. That's how obsessed I was with the film. And I watched What Is Left of Us because I was trying to understand what they were trying to do with that. For the first, I was so excited that I did not really get I was trying to just gather everything, all the information I can. I watched it for the second time and I'm like, oh, I see it now. I see, and let me say this, right? This is why these short films are so good, is that when you go back to them, when you go back to those short films, you somehow, it's almost as if you're watching them anew. Things you missed, you just get, oh my God, I didn't see that. Oh, I see, oh, now I see what they're trying to do here. Oh, I know, so you don't get that with Nollywood. It's just rare. It's so almost impossible for you to, you watch one time, you say, okay, this is what I'm trying to do. But not with the short films. And then, I'm going to be quick. My baby did something holy. My girl Uzumaka film was, I know, I will fight anyone, so I'm here to say that I'm going to fight anyone who's coming for Uzumaka. I think her story somehow kind of gave me a permission to maybe understand what these short films are trying to do, right? I don't know. She, God, please help me. I'm so sorry for this, but it was just so good. Everything from her friends, the only question I had the only question that was on my head when I was watching that film was, how is it a church girl? How's that a church girl is friends with, her friends are married and that church girl, something about, but then they answered the question in the round table discussion and like, oh God, I see what Uzo was trying to do right there. And, I think it was brilliantly done. Even the thing with the sex scenes, the conversation, the dialogues. Oh my God, the sex scene. I'm sorry. I'm very, very big on that. And I think someone mentioned that the I'm going to round up now. I'm sorry. I know I'm rumbling. There's something with Uzumaka film, right? There's a deliberate pause that always insert in itself in the film. It's not, I don't know if it's, so with each scene, right? Nothing is rushed, but you can see there's a thunderstorm going on. But every single time we get that pause. We get that pause even when she caught her husband, uh, uh, you know, watching porn those posts I think they're very essential, and she did it so well that you cannot help but love the film. So, guys, I'm
Mm.
going to say more about this film, and I'm ready to fight anyone who wants to fight Uzo. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, MNC. All right. Okay. All right. This is going to be an interesting section. All right. Alana, please tell us what you liked about the Zikoko live shows.
Good afternoon, guys. Have a good evening. Um, I think this is the very first time in a long time I've been able to watch Nollywood movies as in three back to back, and I really wish they had written at the end of each of these movies, "To God be the glory," because finally these are the sort of creations that God would be so proud of. And we really needed to give God the glory for this. And it hurts me that they did not, in fact, give God the glory for the
Uzo thank
beauty
God at the
that
end,
was
though.
created. Okay. I forgot to Uzo's end. Oh, thank you. I'm going to get to Uzo's end by the end of in a bit. But yeah, to God be the glory. Great things He has done. So loved He the world that He gave us Uzo Amaka and Dika and Anita and all of these wonderful people. So what I did like, um, some weeks back, there was this guy that said something about how he doesn't like movies that they do plenty cho that like movies that they talk too much. And I remember he used Sinners as an example. And I was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean they talk too much in movies? Like, because obviously Sinners was a very bad example of that. And the last 2 weeks, I believe, has made me realize that this guy was not wrong. There, in fact, are movies that they do too much cho. There is a lot of chatting and not enough, showing. And it didn't occur to me until recently. And then watching these movies, each of these movies actually, I realized that there was actually a lot of showing, and not they weren't using dialogue to tell us what was going on. A lot of things we could just see what was going on. We could see from the demeanor of the actors, of the characters. We could see from an expression. We could see from a slump of shoulders. We could see from, like, there were, you could tell people's state of minds without them having to verbally express themselves in that manner in every single one of these productions. And this was, I think, the first thing I really appreciated. Starting first with the with something sweet. Again, I'm going to pick up where Emezi mentioned the scene where O'Brien first sees Michelle Diddy's character. Yeah, there's this, like, will I call it a revelation? It feels like I don't know what Paul looked like when he first, on his way to Damascus when he saw God, but the way O'Brien looked at her, like she was a vision, like a revelation, like, oh my goodness, I finally seen the one. There's, guys, I don't know how to explain this thing, but there's a way someone looks upon a thing of beauty that he had that look in his eyes, and I was like, that's what's up, man. That's what's up. This guy was giving me face. I was like, oh God bless Ogrania, God bless the person that birthed him, God bless the genetics involved. First of all, that is a very, very beautiful man to look at. That is an adorable face. He has this puppy look in his eyes, and I was like, ah, these are the kind of people I should be seeing in romance movies, man. Don't give me one of those hard-faced niggas, man. Give me something soft and something fleshy and something beautiful to look at. It was a revelation. It was a revelation. Lovely casting, lovely casting. And moving on to even more lovely castings, Caleb Richards. Even if he was a wicked man in this, what's no problem. He was a revelation again. But even beyond that, yeah, I like the fact that this character, I liked how it was written in the sense that he doesn't come off as a ridiculous character. He doesn't come off as an unbelievable character. This is a man. This is a Nigerian man. You know, this is a Nigerian, like, when he said, I forgive you for the contraceptives, I was like, hmm? Like, when he said, I was like, yeah, this is him. So I like that story. I like that, each of these stories actually dealt with relatable issues. You know, like, first of all, there were issues that were related to women, about women to some extent, and their relationships. And I just like that each of these topics were vital, and I think it was Uchenna that mentioned it, like Nigerian topics, and they were told in a very Nigerian way. Uzamaka's story, first of all, that had, I actually also like that Zamaka story had hints of comedy to it, you know, when her friend showed sent her the dildo, like this look in her eyes, like what is this, like this curiosity. The scene where she wanted to use the mirror to see what was actually going on down there. I actually laughed a bit. I like that the character was realistic. You know, like, after she and her husband had sex, the next day, the way she basically had this whole, she kind of ran out and ran off before she could even speak about it. I thought that was very nicely done. The colors in each of these, the colors were like vibrant, they were nice. The shots, Vanessa mentioned the balcony shots in the Uzo Amaka movie, and she said there were multiple shots, but aside that balcony shots, the shot at the park where he talks about, oh, remember when you I think proposed to me or something like that. So, like,
I
there was a
mentioned
hill
that one
behind
too.
them. Oh, okay, I didn't hear that. I'm sorry. But yeah, those were really nice shots. And even after that, like, even with the shot where they had balloons above them and all that, there were so many pretty shots in this to complement all the pretty people in each of these. These were short movies that were very fulfilling in their purpose, in their motivations. Nothing was left to chance. You know, you weren't watching it and wondering what was actually going on with this character. What's the head and the tail? You could understand the motivations, and to do all of that with so short a time, like, you can imagine what they could do with 2 hours to 8 episodes, man. Like, it could be a lot. And I hope that we do have persons like I hope that, also, yeah, the music, god, the music was so chill, so nice, so it was so sweet, and it complemented every scene with this. I really enjoyed it. And also, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I'll leave in a bit. I saw the scene where Uzamaka was in the library. I thought that was really cute. I liked seeing a library in Nigeria again. And also with something sweet, the scene, and the restaurant scene when Ogranya says he wants to drive Michelle Dede. I liked that shot. I know it was in the night, but it looked so. There's something very romantic about that. I don't even know how to explain it, but yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you. I think everybody knows Zikoko is more about, like,
Mr. C said that we are talking 3 films in 5 minutes. This thing that
Don't
you are
mind him,
doing,
oh.
We
I
is
learn
swear.
this
not to
thing you are
be
doing is
verbose.
called
So why
Hey,
people have been criticizing
dictatorship.
people for being verbose?
Dictatorship.
People will
but we're talking about
learn.
3 different shots,
You
so
will learn. I'm the
hey.
We
showrunner
will
here.
overthrow you.
I'm the showrunner.
Also,
Man.
everybody say thank you, Ogrania, for the music. That's all I have to say. Especially for the last two shots. Everybody say thank you, Ogrania, for the music. And go and stream my man's music. Start with the Something Sweet playlist that I carefully curated. Thank you.
Wow. Okay, I think Takwe, please go ahead. Tell us some of the things you like
I
about
was
Zikoko.
I was so scared that I thought I was going to forget what I wanted to say. But I just want to say before I even talk about what I liked, um, regarding Omasele, because she pissed me off real bad. But then I had to remind myself that when I was in my 20s, like I was more religious and I could see a lot of myself in her reactions to sex and all of that. But my own thing is that Jesus baby, how you take no yesterday they use adult toy do? Because when her friend sent her the adult toy, she
Wait, hang
looked
on,
it up
hang on,
and she
hang on.
really knew
Wait,
what it
Takwe,
was for.
wait. Calm down, calm down. Are we talking about what we liked? We have a section for what we don't like. Oh. We're not
Oh
yet
no
there.
no 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 no!
Okay.
It's a joke. It's fine. It was yeah.
Just checking. Go ahead.
So yeah, she pissed me off real bad in that sense. But I say that to say it's a rhetorical question in the sense that obviously she was judging what's his name Zion regarding the porn, and then she immediately knew what the adult toy was for. So yeah, I was like, yeah, girl, you don't judge too much. But yeah, overall, I liked it. So my first introduction to the short films was Something Sweet, and then the second one that I watched was What's Left of Us. And as at that time, the only feedback I had when I watched those two was the color grading really good, and the film title cards were well shot. I remember just looking at them and thinking they were really well done. And just like even in terms of whoever scouted the locations for the films, I thought they did a really good job. So that was really well done. We need a playlist. I don't know if like you know how they have like how some films have like official playlists and stuff that you can listen to on Spotify and Apple Music. I think Zikoko. I said Zikoko.
You did, yeah?
Yeah.
Maybe Zikoko did not do, but me or Vanessa, I did playlist for
Okay.
Something
So
Sweet.
okay. I have
If
you
you
posted it on
search,
your Twitter
yes,
because
if
I'm
you search
okay.
Something Sweet on Spotify, it's right there.
Okay.
I curated that playlist.
Okay. Okay. I
Yeah,
will.
I
Fantastic.
dropped the link in the comments.
I will post it
Fantastic.
now. Sorry.
Fantastic.
Thank
I also
you.
think that I don't know. I've watched all three, but the one I really want to talk about is My Body Gossip because that's the one that's most fresh in my mind. Um, and I think something that's really interesting. Like I understand, obviously she's like religious and everything, and they're both, and so much of her moral compass comes from her religious background, and I guess that is her sort of like North Star and stuff. But I think something that's really interesting for the film is just realizing how much the importance of eroticism and self pleasure in understanding yourself and what you like sexually. Um, I mean, I remember just watching it and just thinking to myself, "This is why I need to fornicate before you marry." Yeah. Yeah. I just watched it and I thought, oh, this is really interesting, and the idea of her having that scene where she pleased herself, and that is when she finally, I guess, is most relaxed and is able to finally like have sex with her husband. I thought that was really interesting. Um, because I think because of our culture and everything, we get so there's a sort of like psychic divorce from our bodies that we experience because we're not taught how to experience our bodies and enjoy ourselves. Even the idea of like just kissing and then going on to have sex, the art of enjoying what the different bases in quote of pleasure, enjoying each other body wise, like outside of penetrative sex now, just enjoying each other as two people that enjoy each other's bodies and stuff. I think that all of those aspects, they I don't know how else to say it, but yeah. Another thing I wanted to say is someone talked about how like she was like super religious and then had a friend group of like women that seemed more diverse than perhaps what her religious affiliation indicated. But that it's very, I think it's very middle class religious Nigerian woman coded to me, because you also have to understand that there's a social codification of Christianity, especially in the south part of, like, in Lagos, in cities here in this part of the country. So you can find a middle class religious Nigerian person who is super homophobic, super like all of the other things. But when you look at the person at face value, the person looks very, for lack of a better term, progressive. So it's not really easy. I think with Nigerians, it's not very easy to determine based on dressing that someone is religious. I don't think that that's and I thought that it was important that she did what she did, because for me personally, I have friends who are super religious, but like in terms of how they present themselves, their physical presentation in the world, and how they move in the world, you really can't tell unless you're having certain hot button, certain sociological conversations with them. So I thought that was an accurate representation. Another thing that I really like, this is so like random, but this is like the last thing I'll talk about, because we already talked about the music, which I'm obsessed with. But towards the end, after they leave the park and then they get back to their flat and they have sex, that scene where he holds her neck and then it cuts to her with the t-shirt that says what does the t-shirt even say, Seth? I
Team
can't remember.
Fox.
Yes, that was so yeah, that was, it sent me spinning out. Yeah, Uzamaka, you will be seeing that AMVCA. Trust. Okay. You will absolutely be seeing it. So yeah, she did an amazing job. Yeah, the music was great. Everything was good. I don't know. I feel like we need a like this is an amazing space. But if anybody else wants to do like a women's only space or a femme space, whatever, where we just discuss like certain parts, because I think that because I see films as world building, but also like a way to reflect certain things that go on in our society, and something that I think it's missing in a lot of Nigerian films. I don't find them in a lot of mainstream films anyway, but this obsession they have with explaining everything, not allowing non-verbal cues or like the physicality of acting to really convey what what is being said. And I thought that Uzumaka did the best job that I have ever seen, okay, of a filmmaker in doing that. I mean, like, I'm not even being hyperbolic. She did that. She did her big one. I'm officially part of the Uzumaka hype. So, but if anybody wants to break it down in that sense, and we can have really interesting conversations around, I don't know, you know, sexuality and all the phases, and the importance of like eroticism also in film, and the ways in which you can do it that makes it really tasteful. Because one thing I really like that Zion did is when they would have conversations around like their problems surrounding intimacy, he would talk about it as a matter of fact way, which I think is really important. With free from innuendos, nothing. He's just like talking about it as just a part of their lives as a couple and getting to know each other and understanding each other's bodies. And I thought that was really interesting. I remember watching that and thinking, this is a Nigerian man written by a Nigerian woman. but but yeah, that's what I have to say for now anyway. I followed you first truly over Vanessa, so yes, please, let's get into that like playlist. I need it bad, and yes, I'm part of the OG or Organ Hive for sure. So yeah, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Stockwell. And Mrs. Everybody else will come. Oh no,
I haven't.
Edwin.
Uh-huh.
Edwin, go on,
Thank
please.
you. Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to start by saying that aren't we happy to see everybody happy? Like, we are happy, we are excited, we are like, the energy is palpable. It is possible in Nollywood to make a project that makes the general population happy. It is not a goose chase. It's not Herculean. It is simple and it is easy and it can be done. So I like to start with that, but then we get into what I like. Before I start with what I like, let me just, first of all, do a bit of history. Zikoko Life is the culmination of what is arguably like a 7-year project that actually a 10-year project that started with Zikoko 1.0, which was run by Odun Oweni, Malika Merriam, that's her handle on Twitter, Daniel Rubo. They started Zikoko 1.0. Then Zikoko 2.0 was started by Fuad Lawal, who created the Naira Life vertical on Zikoko, which essentially told stories of what I'm calling middle Nigeria. The same way they have like middle America, literature and film and cinema and all of that. And Love Life, which is Love Life and Sex Life, which are the columns that are adapted into Zikoko Life, was started by Daniel Orubo. And so all of these people should get credit because we don't get here without all of this. Which leads me to my second thing. For like 10 years, we have been fighting and advocating and begging and praying that Nollywood should consider adaptation. We have excellent literature in Nigeria. We have excellent storytelling. And we have always said that the best way for Nollywood to grow is to take literature and adapt. And Zikoko Life is a manifestation of what great adaptation of excellent source material can bring. This is great because there is source material that is complex about complex characters, exploring complex emotions and difficult choices and coming to a conclusion. And we can see that because the directors and the writers had source material to interrogate, they were able to create stories that were, even though they were short, but you didn't feel that it was short because it was so complex. And so again, this also leads me to my second thing. As I said to A.K. Mason a couple of years ago, start with a short film. You will not die. Hone your craft with a short film. And I know that they insulted us for months and years, but Sheuna can see that when you do a short film and you do it right, and you take all of those resources and put it into a compact project, you come out with something that is, progressive, that moves the industry forward. So those are my starting arguments or statements, as or whatever they are going to call them, before I get into what I want to say. This, I think, is the beginning of what I want to call middle Nigeria cinema. There is, I think for like decades and decades, people like Florida Project, there are a couple of films that are about middle America, people who are, dealing with middle class problems, who have like, comfortable lives. They're not rich, they're not poor, they're somewhere in the middle, and their lives are just as interesting as extreme poverty or extreme wealth. And all three films do a great job of exploring what's the dilemmas that middle America faces and how they resolve those dilemmas, how they navigate those complex issues, how they find meaning in their lives, how they find purpose, and how they move through things. I really, really loved that. I loved the directing of all three films, but especially Dika's film, Something Sweet. Something Sweet is like compact. It's so tightly like conceptualized and executed that I honestly believe that it is going to become one of the definitive romance like films that will inform how other people approach romance going forward. Another thing I really, really liked about Something Sweet is that it is arguably the quietest film in Nollywood. It is so quiet. There's no shouting, there's no screaming, there's no exaggerated emotions. I know Dika is like in all about like shouting in films. He's always talked about that. And it's great to see him say these things as an observer. And then when he gets the opportunity to create a project, he creates a project that is quiet. Like it is so soft that nobody shouts, but every emotion is expressed, every emotion is communicated, every tick, because the actors don't have to rely on shouting to get the message across. They were forced to actually emote, and that emoting was spectacular. It was phenomenal. Like Ograya is a talent, and I cannot believe that it has taken this long, which by the way, I know that there's a queue for Ograya, so ladies, you should sort yourselves out and create an orderly queue. He will get to you one at a time. But yeah, Ograya is that person. Like he did that, and I'm so happy because we've also been shouting for years and years and years that Michelle Dede should get a role that is meaty and that she can really sink her teeth into. And I love that she finally had something like that to sink her teeth into. My Body God's Temple by Ozamaka. Uchen has already said that she's probably the best director in Hollywood. I would say second best because the best in my opinion, is Ifeoma Chukwuogo. If you see Phoenix Fury, you will understand what I mean. But I can tell that she worked on Phoenix Fury with Uzumaka, and I can tell that Uzumaka learned a couple of things and then brought that into this project. Uzumaka's film reminds me of Richard Linklater directorial eye, specifically his Before series, just like the way it is shot, the way there is like a focus on the intimacy and the conflict between the two main characters, where the conflict is something external. It is not that I did something to you or you did something to me. There's an external problem that both of the characters have to navigate from different perspectives. Andrew Bunting, which this is a for the first time in his career, nobody begged him to ride an Okada, and so he had time to actually act. And we can see the difference when people are not trying to get him to do Okada trenches riding, because he was like, he okay, how do I even describe this? I think What's Left of Us, I like it. It's like my least favorite of the three, but I really liked it. But these other two films, I feel like they are in conversation with each other, and they do a phenomenal thing of defining the what a romantic Nigerian man could look like. Ogaranya's romantic man is a cerebral person. He's very he's a fixer. He's cerebral. He's thinking through problems. He understands that the dynamic that he's in is a complex dynamic, and he thinks his way to a solution. He is constantly trying to, parse his place in relation to Ziora, and how he can be the person that she needs him to be, because she's somebody who already has been in control of her life for like almost 20 years. And this young man is trying to come in, and we see him thinking through the misogyny and patriarchy and relationship dynamics and how best to be the person that this woman needs. And Andrew, on the other part, which is why Ogaranya's character is an acts of service type of man. All through the film, everything he does is an act of service. Whereas Andrew Bunting is a words of affirmation lover. He is constantly yeah, your body, my body is your temple and your body is my temple. It's like, oh, and so it's like he's solid, so he doesn't need to do too much, because the chest is chesting, the pecs are pexing, the six pack is six packing. All we need here is just words. Like, use your words. And he does that to spectacular results. It was so good. And I also really, really loved the set design that Dika created for Something Sweet. My favorite scene in the entire film is the scene where Ziora, Leke, and her son are sitting on the couch watching a movie, and you can see the shift in body language between all three characters, how everybody has come to a compromise, that this is something that has come to stay, and we all have to figure out how to be in this dynamic as the adult son of an older woman with a younger boyfriend. What do we share in common? What's the thing that we can do as a unit that we can all enjoy, and we can all enjoy each other's presence and company? And I found that's really interesting. In Something Sweet, there are a lot of blue accessories. The garden is blue and pink. In the garden scene, it's a lot of blues and a lot of pinks. And I think Zura is wearing blue as well in that scene. In the house, there's a lot of blue sculptures, which I think was made by Finn Coco. I think that's her name. And there was just so many there were a lot of surface details, but there were also a lot of world building details put into the film that helps you immerse yourself and see that this is middle Nigeria, where the middle class in Nigeria lives, where this is how they live, this is how they love, this is how they resolve conflicts, these are the things that they consider
All right,
non-negotiables in their lives, and all of
okay.
this wonderful things. I loved it. So I could go for 10 extra minutes, but clearly
Clearly,
I have
clearly.
ops.
Don't worry, we'll still do our extra 10 minutes, Edwin. Don't worry.
All right, Mrs. T, I'm going to shut this place down. There's too much positivity.
I know, you're melting, aren't you? Anywho, I would just like to echo what those that went before me have said. Are you people not happy that we are happy?
We come here every Sunday. Every week we are watching Nollywood. Every week we are begging. This is what we want. I know it sounds like we enjoy hating because we do it very well. But just because you do something well does not mean it's your passion. We want to be happy. We want to feel joy. I am so glad this series exists. I am so glad these 3 shows exist. It's as somebody who has no relationship with this thing, with the setup, with any of this coming out, I feel validated, right? It's because we're starting to sound like we're mad. Every week we're asking for something and they will tell us we are mad. They'll tell us we're asking for too much. But this is so validating. Like, okay, no, we're not crazy. We're not asking for too much. You people just don't want to give it to us or don't have the ability to give it to us, which, you know what? That's okay. Try project management. But anywho, apart from my happiness of everything existing, now what did I like? I thought visually this was very beautiful. Every single shot was beautiful in different ways, but they were all beautiful to look at. It felt so lived in. I loved the homes, right? A lot of the locations were great. The tea shop was beautiful. The mosque was beautiful. But the homes? I loved the homes. The homes, the furniture, little scratches on the paints, the chipped paints. It just felt like Edwin said, middle Nigeria. It felt normal. It felt familiar. It felt like what you're looking around. Most of us exist in that space, right? Where we're not existing in the glitzy, bling Lagosians, fighting over Chief Daddy's will kind of life. And a lot of us are not existing in, the village life, the extreme poverty that is often sometimes depicted in Nollywood. A lot of us exist in that middle space. And it's very familiar, and it didn't feel like it was being put on or forced or faked. It just existed. And that was really good to see. It really helped with the immersion into the world. A lot of I think what Edwin was saying about adaptation is exactly what I was thinking. When we're talking about authentic Nigerian stories, I think maybe Nollywood should stop trying to pull it out of their asses and just hit Zikoko up for some stories that people have submitted. The literal stories that people have lived. Adapt the literal lives of people. Maybe that's what we need to have some authenticity in our stories and to feel like we belong in them and they work. I thought these all just worked. I enjoyed the 3 different women throughout, the films. One finding her way to confidence, the other one already established in her confidence and in who she is and refusing to let anything else shatter that confidence. The other one, a confident woman that has been knocked, confidence has been knocked, something completely unexpected, and finding her way back to that position. I really enjoyed that. The 3 different men as well, all confident men, 3 different genres of confident men. Toxic masculinity, patriarchy, all of that jazz in one guy. We have the quiet, nerdy, but still confident. I really enjoyed that character. I enjoyed the way he delivered his lines. It's not brash, he's not loud, but it just works. We're watching this with someone and she's like, these kind of nerdy guys are dangerous. And that's exactly what I felt. It was just adorable in the way he delivered lines, but it's like the kind of adorable that next thing you know you have off pints. And I thought that was really great. And then, what's his name? Andrew, right? Is Andrew his name? Anywho, his character as well, I thought was just so earnest and just, it was a different kind of confidence, like a kind of confidence that is just straightforward. And the lines were beautiful, and the romance, right, in Something Sweet and in Your Body, My Temple had me kicking my feet and grinning. And these were book boyfriends. And honestly, Tika and Uzo Amaka, you guys are dirty liars, because for 30 minutes to an hour, you had me really believing that Nigerian men could come in that genre, and then the film ended. And yeah. I looked at
Back to reality.
Back to reality. I'm married to Mr. C. Think of it. Anywho, also just Uzo Amaka, the absolute love of my life. While all of you are queuing up for Ogaraya, I am at the front of the queue for Uzo Amaka. Everybody get behind me. Don't come close. Don't look at me. Don't wink at me. Don't blink at me. That is my queen. That is my wife. I am the president of her stan club. I did not even realize.
Bisexual panic.
I am not panicking,
everywhere.
Edwin. I am not panicking. I stand Gidigba. My queen. I did not even notice that Andrew.
Mr. C, your home is in trouble.
In danger. Let her wink at me first. I didn't notice Andrew was attractive until he went into the bathroom without Uzo Amaka. I was like, oh, it's true, he's a fine boy. I did not know. All I saw was her beauty. But oh my God, she's fantastic. When Lionheart came out, and we had this whole thing with Genevieve directing and acting and not being able to, give much in terms of performance. It was kind of go and girl, give us nothing in terms of that performance. And we're talking about how difficult it was to direct yourself and act at the same time. And Uzo Amaka, bloody hell, gave such a fantastic performance while directing and getting such a fantastic performance out of the other people in this film. I thought was absolutely brilliant. The chemistry between that couple was wonderful. Just the way they giggled at each other and smiled at each other. I was like, yes, these people are in love. I buy it. I completely 100% buy it. This is a book boyfriend and he loves her and she loves him and they will be all right. And they will not have kids for 3 to 4 years and life will be good. All in all, I am so happy this exists. So happy. Oh my God. Also, special shout out to Dika. I love you. Because I also saw God's Wife yesterday. And honestly, while you people are watching out for everybody else, watch out for Dika.
Oh God. I don't like this space. I don't like this space. Anyway, all right. So the things I liked about the Zikoko Life shorts. All right. So I think everybody had mentioned everything, to be honest. Everybody had mentioned everything. And I agree with basically the general gist with score, Dika, his directing, the cinematography, the shots, incredible. Not one drone shot of cityscape in these 3 shots, if I'm remembering correctly. It is possible to do it, guys. It is actually possible. I think if I'm remembering correctly, one of the shots opens with the feet of people, the feet at the tail of the bed. I was like, yes, establish that we're in a bedroom, because that's what's important. Some people think establishing shots is like, oh, I don't know. Some people just stopped thinking. We've gotten lazy. You think establishing shot means, oh, I need to show you the bridge. Oh, I need to show you Lagos from a drone. And it's just what everybody is doing. Why not just what matters to the story? We're in a bedroom. 2 people are in bed. They've had sex. Okay, so let's show come on. Like, it's just small things like that. And people have, spoken about a lot of the quietness of this. And I think, I was listening to the directors roundtable with all 4 of the directors who worked on this. And there was a mention of, Blessing, requesting shorter and shorter scripts and being quite strict on less. And we're talking about going from like cutting up to 2/3 of something sometimes. So for all of you that are fine with how much less words there were, you can thank Blessing for a lot of that. And so I think it's so much easier as well to do this when you have actors and directing that are so capable of going, okay, you don't need all these words. I can get this look from your face. And I have to give a shout out to Abraham, because I was like, is this guy not a singer? I thought he was a singer. Like, why is he acting so good and so confident? So people are talking about his confidence, which yes, of course. But it's such a strange thing to see somebody who isn't primarily an actor deliver such a strong, subtle performance, which I was very, I genuinely was, I did have to ask because I was like, this can't be the guy who's the singer, right? Because it's what some of your favorite actors, some of your favorite actors here are still doing, where there's this insecurity behind, oh, am I really acting? And so, you have to shout, or you have to really pull a face to show that you are really acting. And the confidence it must take to pull such a performance and go, yeah, don't worry, I'm sure my face is doing the thing. I'm sure that's, also a lot of directing as well. But to be able to pull that off from somebody who isn't primarily an actor, that's no small feat. So shout out to everyone involved there. So yeah, I mean, I'm not. There's not much for me to add, to be honest. Everybody has finished well. The last thing I would say is about, I was watching, I can't remember what we watched, where I said Uzumaka is like, there's nobody close to her in terms of our best acting talent at this point. And I was like, yeah. I was sure of that. And then I saw her, so that she wrote and directed. Now, I know Uzumaka actually studied writing, creative writing. So, I want to say I'm not surprised to see that the writing was decent or good. But I'm still a little bit surprised, to be honest, because it's one thing to study it, another thing to apply it, and the first time it's being shown, at least to this stage. I think this is the first time she said she's written for people that it's just not herself. So I guess I'm still surprised by that. And then the directing as well. Like Uchenna is convinced that, she could be our best director working today, which is a very bold claim. But I was just shocked by how good it was that she directed this, to be honest, as a first start. That was,
Not her first directing though. This is not her first time directing, I will say. She's directed once before.
okay. Anyway, but the first time that, I've seen anyway, so I was a little taken aback, to be honest, by all of this. So, it's weird for, it's weird to see somebody who had that much talent in acting, because you think, oh, the reason why you're so good at it is that you must commit all of your efforts into this bucket of acting. I didn't know there was enough for anything to remain. So there's enough for writing. There's enough for directing. This is not good though. A lot too much talent inside one person's body. This is it's really unfair on the rest of Nollywood. But yeah, I guess this is very well put together. I really still have to give blessing, and Anita as well. The curation isn't, like, I think Uchenna did mention, though, like, putting these three together, I thought they work quite well together. They go really well together. So yeah, I mean, everybody has said most of the things, so I don't want to add more fluff. So, I'm going to see anybody else has anything they want to say before we enter some of the things we did not like. Elizabeth?
Thank you for calling my name. I know that everybody has said sort of, like, even, I've even forgot to have, all I remember is that I wasn't really paying attention when I was saying my good because my offsprings, they were here. So what I wanted to say is, first, you have to give us some more time to talk, because I only mentioned the things that I like around, like maybe the writing and, general blah, blah, blah. I wanted to talk about some specific scenes. I think somebody mentioned it already. So there was this scene that's sorry, I'm just trying to look at my notes again. Um, you know what? Let's talk about it later. Let somebody else talk.
Oh God. Oh my God. This section needs to end. This section needs to end. What do you guys want to say? Edwin, what do you want to say?
I just want to say my favorite three scenes from each of the films. My favorite scene from the first film is the lunch with the side chick because it's a complete sleight of hand. We assume that this is his wife. We assume that he's in a loving relationship. So when the twist comes in the next scene and then we realize that he's not, it throws everybody in for a loop and kind of just announces to the audience that this is not a regular Nollywood story. I love that about the first film. Something sweet. I have quite a number of scenes, but I think my favorite scene is when when Leke brings Ziora home and her son is at the door, and you can see the triangle of like, you can see him processing, you can see Leke processing, like, what is she going to do? How she responds in this scenario will inform me if this is the kind of woman that I want to commit to. And you can literally see him processing it, and you have your heart in your mouth, because you know that if they say something wrong in this scene, everything goes south in this relationship. I really love that was framed in that way. Just like even the framing, because it's like a triangle, one person on this side, one person on this side, one person inside. The boy is at the door, so he's kind of like a gatekeeper for the relationship. There's so much like metaphor in that scene, in the framing of the scene, that even apart from the dialogue, just the framing shows that the guy is on his A game. His head is correct. And then for my bodyguard's temple, the scene in the church where Uzumaka breaks down, it is like an emotional tentpole. Up until that point, she's so beautiful that you don't really think about her as a human being. But it shows that this is somebody who has a deep, honest, like she is almost naively honest and vulnerable about her relationship with God. Like she's not putting it on. It's not for airs. It's not like, there are a lot of Christians who are Christian for reasons, but you can tell that this character actually believes what she's saying. And Ozamaka goes there. Like it's like 29 seconds, but she has a complete emotional breakdown, and it is so believable. And after that, everything else that she kind of goes through, all of her doubts become believable because you've seen her vulnerable. And I really love that each director picked that tentpole scene and worked with it.
Okay. All right. Shagun, do you want to go? See, in 7 minutes, I'm wrapping all of this section up. Concerning you, Shagun, please go ahead.
Yeah. I just wanted to stuff that I left out. Yeah, speaking to that drone shot you were even talking about, there was one drone shot in, I think, what's left of us that they didn't even give us completely, and it was actually absolutely amazing, and they just cut it off. But yeah, that's that. What's left of us? The last line from Miriam was almost villainous. Like it made the hair at the back of my neck stand when she said, Make no mistake," and she just delivered that line about taking her kids. That was absolutely amazing. And then Uzumaka, that scene where she knelt after the sex and he came out of the bathroom and she knelt down in front of him, and they now switched the scene to her. First of all, she was kneeling down in carnality, and then she was now kneeling down in front of the Lord. It was mental. That switch was absolutely mental. Like I paused and I screamed. Then there's this the use of indigenous language, just throwing it in there every now and then was very beautiful. I've taken note of that. I love that in a lot of K-pop music where they are singing in their local dialect and they just throw in English and then switch back. There's a lot of flavor in that, and I really enjoyed how Uzumaka did that. Yeah. That's what I have to add to what I was saying
Sorry, I want to
initially.
say thank you, Shegun. I want to tag on to what Shegun said. He said about that singing in indigenous language. Gosh, I don't know what I'm saying. So did you guys notice that she was singing the theme from, is it Organigwe? I don't know if anybody noticed. I thought that was cool. I don't know if you guys remember Organigwe or the theme music, but I thought, I was like, that is nice. This is how to reference. This is how to do pop reference. I really like pop reference in films, guys. Like, I like it so much. I know I like it in books, but I really love it in films, especially when I can identify it. It makes me feel so good about myself. I'm like, yeah, I'm out there. Anyways, so just to add my own favorite scenes to, for the first one, my favorite scene is really the walking around while they were having an argument. And she was serving lunch. And I was really angry because I remember that at that point I was like, what the heck? Why will you be serving lunch when you are angry? Are you normal? Like, this doesn't make sense. But before the end, it really occurred to me that this is abnormal. She's not even allowed to break off from performing her duty while she was even angry and riled up. Like, it even occurred to her in that moment to say, no, I'm not doing it again, right? She's already even made up. I'm sure that, all of the walking around, she's already had it at the back of her mind that I'm going to start off for myself. I'm going to leave. But all of these decisions that she was going to take, it didn't even say, let me start from here and stop serving you. But she still did all of that, and then she was walking up. I really like that all walking around. And I think I'd mentioned it on this bit like some 2 years ago that I said that our directors don't know how to use space during conflict in conversation in films, because we see this in Hollywood a lot, and even stage people know how to do this. And somehow we say that we have background in stage and we don't know how to use use of space, especially during conflict, because we need to see, and also you'll be able to tell the characters' internal conflicts. You see the external conflict because they're really fighting out there is external, but actually you could see what was going on internally too. She's serving, it's showing up that she's still conservative. Some of these things are residual and she really can't break off. So that's the first one. The second one, guys, my favorite scene, two favorite scenes, three. Let me not lie to you guys, something sweet. I'm just about to rave now. The first favorite scene is when he was like, no, tell your driver to go. And she goes, you can't raise your hand, I'll finish. Tell your driver to go. And she said, no. And she was like, no. And she called in this Lagos. She likes that boy. She likes that boy. She likes that boy. Second one, when he came to see her at the back, and it was like, I've been trying to call. I said, no, what's wrong? I said, no, nothing is wrong. And he kept moving closer. Every time she says something, oh, I don't want the eye, he moves closer, like, in case you've not noticed, I like you. And she was doing for me. She likes that boy. And then the third one, she was like, I have somebody your age calling me mommy. I was like, I can call you mommy. I screamed. I screamed so much. And the third one, oh, I think everybody has told about my favorite scene in Uzabaka's. So let me leave before Mr. C comes to my house and beats me.
All right. Yeah, we are okay. Maybe Mrs. Isha hosted this space. This is gross. This is gross. This is just gross. All right.
Hater.
Don't worry. Next time, next time, next time we're going to.
My hand is still up, oh.
I'm going to put film for you. Have 2 minutes.
Wow, you're rude, man.
Because I'm really shorting this
That's
one.
fine. I'm gonna talk at the speed of light. Let's go. I think for me, what is really important about this, and I don't know what the next set of three is going to be about, but this very evidently is about women. And I know we've been saying Nollywood, you see how people are happy, but again, Nollywood, can you see how to write women? In all shapes, forms, and sizes. Women who are complicated, women who are dealing with stuff that's holding them back based on religion, culture, tradition, society. These are women who are coming into their own, women who are in their own, who have built said own over a period of time. Women who are comfortable in their bodies, women who are learning to be comfortable in their bodies. And there's no judgment here. This is just basically projection of what women are like. And I think for me, what I really loved about Uzamaka's film was her friends. Now, they didn't say anything groundbreaking or new, but I thought it was important that we had them because your friends don't need to say anything groundbreaking or new. All you need your friends to do is validate you, tell you that there's nothing wrong with you, and that you're not the problem. And that is what that character needed, all Oma needed from her friends, because she already was blaming herself. Even if her husband was reassuring, as loving as Zion was with all his words of affirmation and holding her hand even that first night, all of that, it doesn't change the fact that within herself, she felt there was something that she was doing wrong. There was something that was wrong with her. And her friends helped her realize. And, just that little push. There's nothing wrong with you. All our bodies betray us sometimes. We're human. And I think it's important that these stories show these women dealing with different things. And they even with the first film, with What's Left of Us, that character had her sister. And it might not seem like an important scene, but her sister coming to sit with her and be like, "Oh, when are you going home?" And she says, "Can you put me in touch with our father's contact at the government?" And, if it was any other filmmaker, we would have had a long dialogue and a long monologue about why she should be going back to her husband and wait. But all her sister says, "Don't worry, I will get you that number." And it might not have seemed like much, but that was the support she needed from her sister at that point. Whatever her choice was, I'm going to round up now, whatever her choice ended up being, whether she ended up staying in that marriage, whether she ended up leaving, her sister had just given her the keys to her freedom by putting her in contact with that person who was going to give her a job. I just think women were written incredibly well in this. Women were shown incredibly well in this. Nollywood, this is how to write women and show women with love, affection, and respect, and just honesty. Yeah?
Wow. Okay. Thank you. All right. Sorry to all the people who still want to speak. Is okay. It's an hour and a half. I need to get out of here. Please. Thank you.
Where do you have to?
Let's pivot to the things, I'm interested in how this section is going to look. Let's pivot to the things that we did not like. All right. Speakers of speakers. Vanessa.
Ele my lady, it go out small.
Tell us, lead us. Thank God
Guys,
you're the
see,
one
I
starting.
won't lie to you. I haven't actually thought about what I didn't like.
Wow, you better start thinking.
I swear I didn't give it a thought. I will say though, much like everyone else, I think What's Left of Us was my least favorite. I think it was incredibly technically sound. I think a lot of how the choices that were made with, sound, cinematography, direction, all very good. I just think a bit of the story, there were a bit of gaps here and there, specifically with the characterization of the husband. I think with him, by and large, we understand the type of man that he is. He's misogynistic, based off of religion and culture, the way he's raised, he's been raised to expect a certain thing, right? But here, this is my thing. You can't tell me, and maybe he's just a narcissist, and maybe we're doing DIY Nollywood here a little bit. But I think at some point we have to have something that explains to us why this man is so desperate for this marriage. Because at the end of the day, right, why someone who obviously is having extramarital affairs as part of a religion that allows you to take 4 wives, for whatever reason, does not want to marry Aisha, but is somehow fighting for a marriage with a woman who doesn't want any more kids, and is basically the antithesis of everything that he wants, right? I don't know, something about it just felt, something about him specifically, that character felt incomplete to me. That's the only thing I didn't like about that. Something sweet. Another one that's gonna be tough is gonna be a little tough over here, guys, because I have been gagging for something sweet and will continue to gag. I have watched it at least 10 times since it came out, and we'll watch it another 10 more, if not more. I think the only thing I didn't like, and I think I mentioned this to Dika a few weeks ago, is the scene in the kitchen. But I don't know how else we could have introduced that scene, because it was important to establish the fact that Ziora's confidence and certainty in the woman that she is did not come by chance. She had to build this woman that she was due to her challenges. However, the entry into that conversation felt a bit rough. I don't know how else we could have entered that conversation. It just felt, they had just left the garden. He's still trying to convince her to be into him. And maybe, I love a montage, but I think maybe we needed more that showed that they had these level of conversations, because her telling him about her failed marriage, I wanted that scene. I think that scene is important. I just think I wish there was a better way to enter into that scene. But otherwise, love it to bits. What else? What don't I like from my body go temple? That won't go hard though. I quite like a lot of that. What don't I like about that? To be honest, I don't think there's nothing I don't like about that short. To be honest with you. What don't I like? No. Yeah, I don't think there's nothing. So this is where I will draw the curtain. Yeah? Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. You're not a real hater. That's what I can
I
say.
did my best. Sorry.
You're not a real hater. Elizabeth, show them how it's done.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much. Show them how it's done. As per hating is a passion. I know you said that thing that, it was Mrs. Caesar. I was like, we just don't like to hate. This time I was like, you are who? Okay. I'm not a hater here. I really love this. But the first one, I would say that I drank everything in the order of from the back. So you didn't even ask us to rank, but I would have started with say. So the list for me also like everybody else. But what I noticed there is, so what Vanessa is trying to say is that with this, the problem is in this. It's not exactly gaps. It's in the sequencing of the events of the problems. Now they have this array of problems. Let me use that word array. The have more baby, I want to work, you went behind me. So it's in the sequencing of how these things happen, right? We had that PSA just thrown into there after which scene? That PS, because my assumption is she was on the pill previously and you saw that pill and then she went back to the doctor who is trying to get her to get on the coil now. Again, there's a gap in communication again, a lot of let's even start from the good place to start. I do agree that a lot of non-verbal cues, which I really love. Everybody that knows me on this call, on this space knows I hate exposition in my life. I hate so much talk. You see how in the beginning she's rushing and is not helping established. Then that part where that Ed mentioned that we see somebody, look, I had to look at that scene again to be sure that it's not the wife. And then he goes home and the next thing was so pissed because he was also pissed at her. And then he sent his wife out, like no excuse. And the next scene, he was jogging with his friend and he's like, oh, do you know, I warmed me a kinikon and I burnt it. I'm like, nigga, you guys did not notice this part. You people that read this story did not see this part. You did not see that you are explaining what happened in here? Look, he didn't need no nigga to run with him. He just had to pop that shit in the microwave and the thing go kaput. We've seen that scene. But them explaining, I mean, when you've done well to show and then you tack on that being the reason why he wants her back. And I get that maybe they're working with really short and felt like, explaining is easier. Like, oh, I need a maid. My maid needs to come back. But I feel that it didn't weave in. And then the next, so I think it was in the sequence because we get all of this. And then she says, oh, I'm now looking for a job. But we talked about that. We didn't know when you guys talked about that, but tell us what you guys talked about. And not so much on that. And then when it was like, okay, I will leave. Okay. But and next thing they are back at home. And the next thing, hospital. And the next thing goes to see the counselor. I think there is just some haphazardness within the arrangement of the sequencing that I think is the problem here overall. And then this character, the husband, I don't want to say that it was one dimensional. I know it's very impossible. It's not impossible, guys. It's not true. I told somebody that it's not true, so it can't be true. That in short, you can't have a, well fleshed out characterization. You see his struggle internally, so let me leave that out. So I don't think, so the second one for me, for, something sweet. My problem with something sweet. Okay. For what, Vanessa mentioned, I also saw that. Let me tell you what could have been the best way. It shouldn't have happened that day. That conversation should not have happened. Like, we shouldn't see them wearing what they wore under the tree. If we had seen them wear something else, you would not have noticed. It felt too rushed, abrupt, whatever. But let's leave that. More technical for me is that scene where they went out and she was wearing blue, where she drove her home that night. Now, while they were, wherever they were at, and he said, is this where you bring all of your work dates? And she was like, no. Guys, I did not see him say it. It was cut into half. I was seeing half of his head poking out. I think that's the problem for me because I was hearing his voice and this is visual. And we don't exactly need to be seeing we could see a reaction. But when he says it, I would expect that the camera should be on him. But even if the camera was not on him and you want us to say that maybe he was saying it off screen and we are hearing it, it would have been better. But
it was basically half of his body, not even half of his body, a pinch of his head, his forehead was poking out, his hand was poking out somewhere. I thought it was clumsy. Then the scene, there was one of that. There's some seamlessness in the editing, like, or should I say lack of fluidity. But then the scene where they were on the bed when the mother called in the morning, I don't know. There's something about that composition. But like I said, it's just technical now for me. But every other thing I find perfect. And then the last one too, I think is in the cutting, is on the chopping board. And when they are chopping your story, you have to make sure that everything come together. It's perfect, but I don't have a problem with, but I think that last character, the Andrew's character, was very, there's something about that character that is also not exactly one dimensional, but it's less of him, more of her, in that we really don't see how he struggles with that. Apart from them showing us that he jerked off at the bathroom. And even the conversation that happened is so perfect that it's almost, if it's that you can't, if it's, I feel like only women will probably be able to empathize with her in this situation, because half of that first time, she was really gaslighting him heavy. And I understand that you're a Jesus baby, and especially if you're Catholic, again, you have this Catholic guilt, hand is up. But that's the character that I feel isn't well, because it feels like he's there as a plot device to help her all through, which is what you've already given our friends for. But there's a conversation, and that conversation around I feel like my body is God's temple. I think there should be like some tightness to how that should have come out. I felt it was easy. Because if it was that easy, you could have just said it after you came back from church the first day. But it was just very easy. And I feel like it's also because there was lack of conflict not heavy conflict. I wasn't expecting that. He's a good guy and all that. But there was something that is just missing with that characterization that could have, set off a ricochet where that, my body God's temple ish should have come out. Thank you for listening.
All right. Okay, I'm feeling better now. Stephanie, do you want to tell us what you do not like about the Zikoko Life shorts? Stephanie, are you? Can anyone else hear Stephanie?
Mbano.
Okay. All right. I think Stephanie's having some connection issues. All right, Chena, do you want to share us some of the things you did not like about the Coco Life shorts?
Okay, I liked almost everything about these three films, but I think the part that I struggled with a little bit was the screenplays on the first two. In All That's Left of Us, I felt as if it kind of didn't have a third act. Like, I was even surprised when it ended. I was kind of surprised that it just ended the way it did. There didn't really seem to be a resolution. I'm not saying that I need the happy ending or whatnot, but it seems as if we set up a conflict and didn't fully wrestle with it and find any kind of resolution. In the case of Something Sweet, I felt it was a bit too rushed in a way, and it did what I always call the blah 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 thing, or the yada 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 thing, where all the emotional beats are sort of just glossed over in a wordless montage, and we never actually get to see the chemistry between these people dramatized. Like, we're just told these people are in a relationship and these people love each other, and we just accept it because we're told that. But I don't think I ever really saw any reason to believe why. I mean, the actors did well in trying to communicate some of that chemistry, but there wasn't any real conversation between them that shows the things that they have in common, the way that they play off each other. You just never see that in Nollywood romantic movies, which is why I always find them unconvincing. We always just go to a montage showing them laughing together in an eatery, riding a horse on the beach, and so on, while music plays in the background. But there's always this fear to try to show the chemistry between the people. And that's one thing I liked in My Body's Got Temple, is that all the emotional beats were handled head on through conversation and action. The other thing I didn't like in Something Sweet was one of my least favorite tendencies in modern films, not just in Nollywood. I mean, Nollywood does it to a disgusting degree, but you see it all the time in Hollywood movies, Marvel movies, and stuff like that. And that is backstory as personality. Um, I don't think it's necessary to have the character go into a monologue telling us their tragic backstory. None of that stuff was necessary here. Like when they were talking about, when she was talking about her husband and her relationship with her husband, stuff like that, I was thinking the husband was going to show up in the story. Because if he's not showing up in the story, there is no need for us to know any of this stuff. You know, I mean, I said last week, like, in To Kill a Monkey, when the first episode starts, and within the first minute, we have the guy telling, you know, in voiceover, giving us the long story of his life. I already knew I was in trouble. I kind of checked out right then. You know, a backstory is not a substitute for personality, which is shown through present action and not a rehash of their traumatic past. In terms of My Bodyguard's Temple, I think the main thing I didn't like was the music. And one thing I should say about the scripts, though. I despite my misgivings with the scripts, I don't give any of them grief for that. I know it's really difficult to tell some of these complex stories in a short film format. And now that Mr. C has mentioned that Blessing was deliberately trying to cut these things down, I can understand how it's difficult to communicate all this stuff fully when you have limited time. So I'm not giving them grief for that, but I think it's something that can be worked on. Okay, I was saying I didn't like the music in My Body's Got Temple. And again, this is another thing that has to do with time. I felt that the resolution was kind of rushed. I could tell the director had more to say, but there just wasn't the time to say it. And for a story that is so much about religious guilt and sexuality, I think I would have liked to hear more about her feelings about religion. I know she's not necessarily like a hardcore born again, and I understand the way that a religious background can instill guilt within you for the rest of your life, even when you're not necessarily incredibly active in the religion in the present tense, and especially when it comes to Catholicism, which is really based on guilt. So I understood that, but I would have liked to see a little bit more of it. And then there was one scene that bugged me a little bit, and that's a scene a lot of people like, where she kneels before him. Conceptually, I think it's a great scene. It's a great idea for the scene, but the way that it was executed, I felt it was slightly tonally off, and the audio seemed kind of rough in that scene as well. But yeah, I guess that's all I have to say.
All right. No, thanks, thanks, Jenna. Who do we? Shagun, do you want to tell us what you did not like about the Zikoko Life shows?
That may be a bit difficult, but I think Vanessa has covered most of anything that I may not have liked. I mean, I think for a lot of people, what's left of us was the least liked, but I'm guessing there was no resolution because, number one, because of time, and maybe because of the sensitive nature of maybe the religion and that type of this thing, the type of family dynamic as it is, as people relate to it in Nigeria. So I'm not going to give them any grief for that. If for the sake of pointing out anything bad, I'll just really say there was an issue with the lighting on Omar's friends when they were together the first time when they sat together. Four of them sat in that place where they were having, when she was confessing that she hasn't had sex yet. I think the lighting didn't do well for the friends and their makeup, but that's very slightly irrelevant. And then maybe the ADR, there was slight issues with syncing, but I don't think anybody would have really noticed that much. There's the entire thing didn't give room for me to hate anything. So yeah, I don't think I have anything bad to say about it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Shagun. Doctor, do you want to tell us some of the things you do not like about the
Oh
Zikoko
my
Life?
gosh, I took a while to get. I'm trying to remember. Okay, so I remember Vanessa talking about like him us not really understanding why he um decided to marry the kind of woman that he did, knowing that he had like has a need for a more in quote submissive partner and all of that. I think that's just I don't know. I feel like that is very typical. But also I think that there was a scene where like he's jogging, I think, if memory serves me right. He's jogging with his friend or he's walking or something, and he's having a conversation about how hard it's been for him to manage while his wife is, she's not in the home. He sent her out and everything. And I feel like that scene kind of answers that to a certain extent. I don't know. What do you think? That's just my whatever. But then
That was
another.
not my point. Sorry. I know we're not pushing back, but my point was, why is he not marrying a second wife? It's not about why he married the first one.
Oh, okay.
Just
That okay.
yeah,
Okay, I see.
yeah.
Okay. So I don't have an answer to that then. The scene where her friend in My Bodyguard's Temple, the scene where her friend gives her the sends her the rabbit toy and everything, and then her husband calls her. So when he runs into the house, this is the only feedback I have because I actually liked all of them. I don't have any. I'm not looking at it with a very critical eye. So maybe that's why. But the scene where her husband runs into the house, I felt like he didn't have the. There wasn't a sense of urgency in the way that I think he should have, considering she was screaming in the phone, and like there was no way for him to know what she was doing before he got into the house. So why did like he came in and he was like looking for her, but I felt like he should have come in and he should have been more concerned. I feel like I don't know. That was my only feedback. And then this is just me saying for anyone who's interested in like an edit, please do an edit of My Bodyguard's Temple to Ira Star's new song. Um, particularly like the scene with her like with the t-shirts. I want to see that all of the whatever scenes, all of the so yeah, that's all I have to say. Yeah. Oh, and if
All right.
anyone is interested in opening another whatever for other movies or other TV shows, I'm very new to this space, so I don't know if you guys have had one for To Kill a Monkey, because I think we okay because I think we talk about how oftentimes filmmakers flatten Nigerian female characters. They're not fully fleshed out, they're not complex. And for a lot of us, we think the solution is to have more female filmmakers, which more women filmmakers, which I think like I understand that obviously like, that I get that, but I also think that that's not a complete solution because I've watched a couple of Nigerian films with women filmmakers that are highly celebrated, and I feel like the way they represent women sometimes can be a bit flat because I think it's a systemic issue. I don't think it's a just a you know whatever. I think it's just the lens through which we see women and also other other said Nigerian women see women in general. But yeah, I had thoughts about that. There's a particular TV show that's really popular right now, and I had thoughts about how I feel like that filmmaker shoots women versus how she shoots men. Which I thought like proved my point about how like it's not just about having more women filmmakers, which I want to have. I want us to have more women filmmakers, but I do think that sometimes there's the possibility that the female characters can be flattened even if it's a woman that's shooting it. But I feel like Uzo Amaka does a fantastic job. I think it's a short film, so there isn't so much I can say in terms of maybe world building and all of that. But I thought she did a really good job, or it was a great attempt at showing like that a diverse female friendship group through the friends that Omasilu had. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Sakwa. Uh, yeah. So, how did?
Plug our space now. Why you doing now?
It's just from where to start, because obviously she raised a lot of things we've discussed. Yes,
Keep discussing.
and we will keep on discussing. Yeah. So we've been doing this for a few years now. I think we're in our fourth year, right? We're in our fourth year. So there are a lot of things, a lot of patterns. Any pattern you can see in Nollywood, we've probably mentioned it. Just because of the sheer volume. There's something about what happens. Number one, if you watch Nollywood movies as much as we do, and then number one, if you discuss it every week with different people bringing different perspectives, it's so difficult not to spot any particular pattern. I will refer you to our two Killer Monkeys 4 hour space. If you can do it, it's there. It's on Spotify, Nollywood Film Club.
We did it last week.
Yeah, we did it last week.
Do we
And
have
then
Apple?
also, I
She
think
don't use Spotify. She use Apple.
anyone
It's an Apple,
is it's on all of them. Only podcast platform you're using is there. And then a space that it sounds like you like is women in Nollywood and female characters in Nollywood.
We did a feminism in Nollywood as well.
No, Kamiada.
We haven't
No,
done it?
no, there's that. We've done. I think we've done two. We've done like a female characters in Nollywood, and like I think, and then
Women?
I can't remember what it's called, but I think it's something like that. Something like that. Female characters in Nollywood, and
I think we did do women because I think I hosted both those spaces.
yeah.
Is that done
Yeah.
regularly? Because I'm interested. I have thoughts actually about this particular filmmaker and how she shoots film.
I don't. It's not regularly because we can't.
We're gonna have
Yeah.
a half year in review soon, right? So
Yeah,
I think
maybe
that should be a chance.
yeah, I think it's going to be next weekend. Actually, we'll do a sort of half year review, or maybe Jan to July.
Let's pretend it's half year because everyone decided to drop film around when we would have done half year review.
So, but yeah. Anyway, I guess that's the plug.
But also, I think I can see your future.
Yeah.
You have joined Colts.
Welcome to NFC.
Welcome to NFC.
We do usually initiate and we don't let go.
We're all in an abusive relationship with Nollywood, and you have joined.
All right. Okay. All right, Edwin. Tell us some of the things you do not like about Zikoko Life. Sure.
Yes, my moment to shine. Glitters arise.
My God.
So first of all, I think that so all three films had a supporting character problem. Every single film, if you look at it, all of the supporting characters were either talking heads or they were just there for plot exposition. In Something Sweet, the Kanye Eros's character was basically there for plot exposition. She doesn't really, there's no interiority to her. So we don't really get the fact that she's a Cupid because she doesn't have a relationship with Zora in any way that, Zora would take her word for anything. So that's her final scene where she says the thing that she says. And Zora is like, what did you say? It was hard to read it as friendly because there was no foreshadowing that these women have a private relationship, that she is like, interested in Zora's love life. Like she's rooting for Zora in any kind of way. So that kind of just comes out of nowhere. And because of that, we can't really see her as a Cupid, which is what, because from the directors roundtable, Dika said that he kind of imagined her as a pivotal character. If they had given us like maybe 30 seconds or 45 seconds of her and Zora having some kind of conversation where we see that they have a friendship or they have a relationship outside of employer-employee, it would have worked. I think that the worst of it actually was in My Body, God's Temple. I don't know what it is about the writing of the friends, but they were accurate. There's an accurate like stereotype of Nigerian female friend groups where it's kind of just like, hey girl, 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 girl. Like, it was just giving girl. And it didn't feel like, they were people. They felt like they were just there to do. Yes, girl, get you a toy, change your life. It's not your, I don't know. I didn't like them. And honestly, their delivery was bad. Every single one of them. They did not feel natural to the film. They felt like they were imported from somewhere and put in the film because this babe Oma needed friends. They didn't feel like, they were invested in her relationship. They didn't feel like they didn't feel like they were even fans of Zion. It just felt like, you're married, happy for you. You should probably get some, moyo and, enjoy your life. It just felt like it didn't feel, I don't know, fleshed out something. It was a problem across all three films. And I think that it really, really weakened the writing of the films for that reason. So something else I didn't like in Something Sweet is Ziora's characterization. I've talked about this quite a bit. I think the worst I've seen of that thing was in Far From Home. If you give a character a job, you have to do the research and understand how that job works, because work is a significant part of our lives, and work should have been a primary hindrance between Leke and Ziora's relationship. Because if you run a fashion business in Nigeria, you are literally a slave. You will oversee tailoring, you oversee construction, you oversee quality control, you oversee marketing, advertising, everything. Which is why, on paper, the fact that Leke is offering to help Ziora create a payment platform and a delivery service, her excitement was palpable, but we don't know why we're excited, because we don't really get that Ziora is busy, or that she's stressed, or that she's overwhelmed, or that she's running a fashion business, because she seems to have endless leisure time. She's just like a leisurely babe strolling through life. There's no gym in her life. There's no urgency. There's no busyness. There's nothing. She's just there, which, by the way, Michelle Dada is amazing, and I loved her in this, and she really sold most of it. But that woman has never sewn in her life, and it's obvious. It is so obvious that she doesn't know what a sewing machine looks like. She's never known what a dress size looks like. It's obvious. And so it's giving babe. And the problem with that is that it now ties into the fact that she supposedly built her business herself, and she's supposed to be self-made. So she doesn't have, as a woman in fashion in Nigeria, you deal with like belligerent customers, male and female. So there should have been a level of like disinterest in Leke that wasn't there. Like, it's like, see, you're just another customer, you're disturbing me. Like, I have things to do. But it just felt a little too leisurely. It just felt a little too, it felt like, in fact, the characterization they now gave her makes sense. It makes sense that her father gave her the money to go abroad and do everything, because it's clear that Zora has never run that business in her life. That daddy is probably still bankrolling the business at 41, which is why the whole thing with Leke is happening. If they had gone that route with the writing, it would have made sense. But this whole self-made thing, it didn't work. And it didn't work. And so because it didn't work, a lot of the joy we got from it was not earned. It just felt a little weak in that regard. And so I didn't like that. For the first film, what's something. The name is long. I think Caleb's Hausa was terrible. It was like, it threw me out of the film every single time. And now this is not the first time that Caleb has played a Hausa character. He played a Hausa character in With Difficulty Comes Ease. But Korede Aziz understood the problem, and she worked around it by making him a revert who was Igbo and then reverted to Islam. And so because of that, he didn't need to speak Hausa. He didn't need to dress in a certain way. He didn't need to embody that Hausa character. But here, they kind of just took it for granted that, because the Hausa patriarchy is a specific flavor. There are so many things that make Hausa patriarchy different from other kinds of patriarchy. And Caleb just didn't really get that. It also explains why when he has those running scenes with his friend, their conversations is stilted, because there's no shared subtext between the two of them. That guy is just there as a plot device to, have him bounce off questions, because there's nobody else in the thing that he bounces questions off. And I feel like what should have been done is that after the scene, that beautiful scene in the mosque, They should have had the imam take him aside and then have a conversation with him about his choices going forward, where the imam is a lot more like, measured, as opposed to what he does in front of the wife. It would have helped to communicate the contrast between what is publicly acceptable and what is privately communicated. That would have helped. Please give me 30 more seconds. I'm almost done. Don't rush me. You rush me for good. Please, this is bad. You say you like bad. I'm giving bad. Let me give bad, because nobody else will. I'm the last person. Don't stress me. Anyway, yeah, so there was that. And then finally, I think the worst thing about My Body God's Temple, which I love, by the way, I just want to start preface, which is why, that's personally why I think that, Uzamaka is the second best. She's not the best, just for this thing. I feel like Oma's vaginasmus was handled terribly. It was a deus ex. It was not earned at all. That first scene, when it's revealed that she cannot perform, she's not surprised enough. She's not shocked enough, because as a Christian woman, you are indoctrinated for most of your life that the best, the most important, powerful, honorable role you can do is be a mother. And so for you to not be able to perform your wifely duties, one of two things must have happened. You must have either explored at some point earlier in your life and kind of figured out that something was wrong and then refused to engage it, or you have never tried because the indoctrination was so much that you never even bothered to try. And so the response we get does not suggest either. It suggests a third thing, which is a thing that doesn't work, which is kind of just like, oh, wow, I can't have sex, so time to gaslight my husband. That was not earned. It doesn't come from anywhere, because you tell us that she loves this man and she wants to please him, but she goes straight from, I'm like, sister, I understand that, this is feminist cinema, but you have some accountability to do too. How do you not know that your coochie doesn't work? Like, girl, what is this? And so, because the vaginismus was not earned, every single time they come back to it as the source of conflict in the relationship. Because the setup was not nuanced, it just makes Oma seem like an unreasonable person, because you won't go to a therapist, you won't try, you won't go to a doctor, you won't do anything. You're not even particularly praying about it. Pray about it once, which is a great prayer. It's a great scene and everything, but you're not sufficiently concerned about it, and you're not trying to solve it. Unlike, I feel like if they had carried her friends and her friends had a conversation about vaginasmus instead, and it would have been a better use of the friends. And so even by the time things resolved, we don't really get a payoff from it per se, because the setup was terrible. The setup was not nuanced. It was not thought through. It was not giving the kind of severity that it should have been given, because it's like having vaginismus is essentially a stain on your fertility as a woman. So yeah, I could keep going, but I'd like to stop here before
He's
Mr. C bites me.
okay. He's okay. I mean, we're talking about the bad, so I let you go on for extra, Seth. I gave you Jara,
Also,
So,
Evan, I can't believe you said your coochie doesn't work.
uh,
the in the Hall of Fame of the wild tweet, the
No,
wild
I'm sorry.
wild
We've got to
sentences we
invoke
hear
Issa
in
Rae,
NXT.
Broken Coochie. It's Issa Rae who said it, not
the
me.
merchants and
Never do the merchants. Coochie don't work. Okay.
all right. Seamus sees you.
It's me, oh, it's me. Sorry, guys. I don't have enough hate in my heart to fully contribute to this section, unfortunately. Although I have to say, my weakest was, Jesus, I swear I
What's
remember
left
the
of
title.
us?
Yes, What's Left of Us. What's Left of Us was my weakest. You know what? I rank the shorts in order of how I saw them. 3, 2, 1. I think that's how it worked out for me. I don't know that. Correct me if I think there's some the stuff I haven't seen, but I don't know that we're that good at telling northern stories quite yet. I think With Difficulty Comes Ease is the best one I've seen so far. And I thought the acting was the weakest in What's Left of Us than in the other two series. I I agree with not fully understanding his motivation for not taking a second wife. And I don't know, maybe this one is where some backstory would have worked, because there's a lot of different backstory for these things, right? For instance, personal law, I have a grandfather with like lots of children from a lot of places, and he's very much to his children, hey, don't have lots of children in lots of places. Just have your children with one person. That's backstory to having children with one person versus, even while whoring, you don't want to, have kids outside because of drama, whatever. Just some understanding for why this was important to him instead of marrying Fatima or marrying somebody else and bringing them into the situation and the relationship. I completely agree with the backstory, with the supporting character problem. I decided not to care about them because you're not important. But yes, I do agree the supporting characters weren't very real or didn't feel very real. I could have done without Ziora's backstory. I was perfectly happy for that romance to just exist in the space where it was happening. And I didn't need her to have, any backstory. She could have had a wonderful marriage and he died, right? She could have been young and in love and realized she wanted to be in London, he wanted to be in Nigeria, they got divorced. Whatever ended her relationship, I don't think it didn't end up having a bearing on this relationship, right? Or it wasn't a source of hesitation into getting involved. It wasn't a source of oh my God, some man could come and control me again, and that's what I'm trying to avoid. It didn't really play here, so I could have done without that backstory. I appreciate them not having a kiss in that moment because I don't like the thing of female characters crying and then we move on to kissing her. I find it a little take advantagey. So I guess I appreciate that not happening, even though they teased it. But yeah, and what's left of us? I honestly decided to tag it as Vaginismus Light, because, there was no therapy, there was no physical therapy, there wasn't any of this additional stuff. And I do wish there was a bit of effort into some other types of intimacy, right? Not everything True Brick. It, I felt like there was no attempt at any other type of intimacy, and that was probably my only reservation. And all the mentions of her gaslighting him, we watched it with some friends, and I was like, yeah, she's not. It doesn't seem like she's making much of an effort except the occasional prayer, and they found that kind of annoying. Which, yeah, honestly, he's a good man, Savannah, a good man. But yeah, like. And yeah, we get that scene where she goes down on her knees when he comes out the bathroom. Yeah, homegirl, you could have done that while your coochie was broken. And do the same, my G, because like every time he went down, he was back up in like a second. I'm like, no, you did not, sir. Be for real. But yeah, overall, honestly, still very happy with everything at the end of the day. My love, take it away. Hate on behalf of our family.
All right, let's show you how this is done.
Yes, time for the hater.
Oh no. All right. I so the first one for me, what's left of us, I think is the one that feels the most like a PSA. Just it's the one that just it feels almost, and that's very very Nigerian short. Like that's the thing. When we do shorts, we tend to do is like we're going to do this PSA, and I think they all sort of have something to say. But in terms of feeling like a PSA, the first one is the one that just feels more almost like a PSA. I don't think the acting in the first one is as strong. I think it's the weakest of the three. In fact, no, I don't want to say that because I think they're all. I think like I think the acting in the other ones are really strong. So I don't even just mean it's the weakest of the three. I don't think the acting in the first one is strong. I think there are times where they dip below par even. So I think that's part of why they feel weak, and I don't think all of it feels as well realized as the other story. So like, there's questions where people are like, why doesn't he have take a second wife and like yeah? So for me, the script there isn't is probably the weakest as well, but it's not. I don't want to sugar. No, this is professional. This is a professional hater. I'm doing this. I want to do. I don't want to sugarcoat this side. Um, but yeah, I think that was it for me for what's left of us in terms of what I didn't like. For something sweet, it pains me to say this. I don't. I'll do some pushback for on behalf of Dick. Unfortunately, but for now, I thought the kiss wasn't good. The first show of the kiss, because I was it the first show of the yes, it was like the
It
kiss
wasn't
from
the
this.
start. It was like because it kind of started off with like a side profile view, and then it goes to like the
Yes,
back of somebody's head.
yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like it's not a good angle. I'm like, I don't know why. It's your first kiss.
No, it's the
It's
first
the
one we
first.
see. They've had sex.
I know it's the first time you see them kiss. It's what I'm saying. It's not part of.
Sorry. Carry on, carry on.
It's the first time we see them kiss. Why? It's not. Why
Sorry.
would you do this to us in terms of how you're showing this? I didn't understand that. The 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 reason to shoot it like that, to show it that way. Um. So that's for something sweet. And then my bodyguard's temple. Um, Edwin has said the thing about the friends, and I agree. I think it's very Nollywood-ish of us, because I guess, like, you know what, I know because I know Mrs. C has female friends. All right. In fact, I actually used to.
You have been.
I live amongst a lot of female spaces for whatever reason. I have done, and I can't count my experience, because maybe I'm a guy, and when I'm in female spaces it's a little different. But
Maybe I'm a guy. You're not
but
sure.
no, I'm saying
Struggling.
I'm talking about the way they behave in front of me. Not the maybe it's not attached to my guy who, please. I am certain 99% of the time. The the there's a it's a part of Nollywood that it always feels like when you go to. I don't think I'm not sure if people do. I don't know what it is about these scenes in Nollywood when people take their things to their female friends, but like I don't know, Edwin I think has done it best in terms of feeling like it just feels like, yeah, girl, you just do this, girl, and and that, and I feel like this is better with a one-on-one. You can have your girlfriends as a whole, but I think a lot of this time, sometimes a lot of this mostly be probably pulling the one person from your group that you can really discuss these things with, and you have
one person for different purposes.
yeah. So there's something that feels inauthentic about that showing, and yeah, that's that. And then I would say something about the tone. So there was something I thought was really interesting and really funny at the beginning in terms of, but it caused a little bit of confusion, because I'm not sure what husband was doing when he was going down there. Does anyone know?
She not
Because
gree open leg now. No,
but
now
But
the
but
what was
man
he
no
what's he
gree
doing
do?
open leg.
there?
What's he doing
Because my guy
there?
was back up in 0.3 seconds.
She
What was
not
he
gree
doing?
open leg now. Now
Yeah,
why I tell her say unclench your knees.
no, but what is he doing there? What is he doing
What do
out
you
of
want us to
frame?
tell you? What do you want us
I
to
don't
tell you?
know
What
this
do you
now.
want?
What
We
he
did
was
here.
doing there?
What's he doing
We did
there?
here.
You
She
put
not
what?
gree open leg now. Now why ain't come back up?
No,
What do you
you're
want
not
us to tell you was
understanding.
happening there?
What's he
What
doing
do
there
you
in the
want us to
first?
tell you?
What's he doing there in the first place?
Wait,
Because
no, but wait till they do for there. Married
no,
man.
okay. Let me because people don't. I don't think people understand. When it
Honestly,
finally
he was
happens,
there for a while and came back up. What
wait,
was
It
he
was
doing
not
in
no,
that
wait,
time
though.
wait,
It
wait,
period?
wait,
was
wait, wait,
not.
wait. When it finally happens, he
He
goes
was
there.
praying.
When it
He was
finally
praying.
wait. You people think you know what's going on. That's why when it finally happens, he goes there again and he comes back up,
In
and
point
then it
three
happens.
seconds.
And so we gotta ask, what's going on there? There's nothing around his
he doesn't give me any indication that he needed to go down there. Nothing about his face, not about his looks. I'm like, I don't know. It feels like a mystery what he went down there to do. It felt like he just went to like untouched lights. Like, hey, I gotta inspect something. Gotta check.
Gotta inspect the goods.
Gotta check before I put it inside, just in case it has teeth inside. I need to make sure because I'm not sure what is going on there, and it's just not explained. So there's that sort of confusion, especially when it eventually happens. I'm just not sure why he had to disappear off frame. So, but I thought it was really funny, by the way, the first time it happens when he disappears and it stays on Uzumaka's face and like a bit of time, and then he pops back in. I love the way he enters the frame back. It's a kind of thing that we really don't do in Nollywood, but I think that's funny, and I think it's intentionally funny. It's a kind of one of the directors that comes to mind. I know uses that really well for comedic timing. As a comedic choice is like Edgar. I wouldn't say Edgar, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Edgar Wright.
yeah, yes. Of somebody coming off screen and it being funny. So that was funny, but nothing else in that had that tone ever again. So it feels so out of place. It feels so out of place with the rest of the short, and I don't see anything like that replicated again. And it doesn't have that kind of tone. So, um, yeah.
Yeah. So to kind of to define it specifically, they are lovers, but they are not friends.
Huh?
Yes.
Uh,
Oma and Zion, they are lovers, but they are not friends. That's the only place where it feels like they have some kind of humor in their relationship, where they can laugh at each other or about each other or something. But everything else is just like high romance from that point till the end of the film.
wait, which one are you talking about?
You know, it's not. I see
My
what you're
body got
saying,
simple.
right? That opening scene,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I
There
see.
was a lot of laughing, and there was that fun, funny stuff going on. And then Zion and Oma don't do any laughy, funny, jokey things with each other for the rest of it. It's love, but it's, there's
No,
no.
I didn't. Okay, maybe I misremember, but I didn't get funny from the characters at the point, and which
No,
I
no,
felt.
that bit was just comedic. It wasn't the characters being funny, but that opening
Like
scene, they did have bits of
that they
laughing
can recognize
together,
a comedic
and yeah.
event in their lives
The,
and laugh at it.
okay, but what I'm saying still carries in terms of in terms of I'm talking about tone here, right? That's how it
No,
started.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you
Mm,
that like
okay.
the fact that like there's a comedy of errors in their relationship, this thing that is happening can be a source of humor in their relationship. It never happens again in the rest of the
Yeah.
film. It becomes super serious about it for the rest of the film.
Yes. Thank you. All right. And so I think those are about all my. Oh, and I think this, like, obviously, um, I would never criticize the Queen Uzumaka for anything, especially acting as she's the most complete. But there was something a little off of the showing the wedding ring. It felt a little much. I just thought that wasn't needed. I just thought that wasn't needed. It just felt a little much. It just felt too much. Even, it's like,
White negligee
yeah,
was enough of a giveaway.
yeah, it's like, we'll get around to it. Like, you could have just said husband or, like in that way where, it's new.
Mm.
It's like the showing of the ring just felt like you were showing the audience and it didn't have anything to do with that world. Um, not to again criticize anything. It is Amaka
Don't
would do
be
as an acting choice. No, I am afraid. I'm
afraid.
afraid of this
Don't
one.
be
No, I'm
afraid.
afraid because
You know why you
I,
should not be
I,
afraid?
I
Because you don't even have a chance. It's me she will choose.
no, that's no, nothing. I'm just talking about the in terms of the talent and the talent she has shown. I think she's so good at acting. It feels weird for me to go, I didn't like this acting choice she made.
You can't blame the
Yeah.
director because
It's
let's blame Blessing. It's okay.
all right.
I would defend that acting choice.
Of course, you
I'm
defend
ready to
it.
push back. I know
You are
what
a
I'm going
simp.
to say.
You are a simp. That's
Well,
why.
yes, it
That's
is
okay. Who
Uzomaka.
else should
I
we
don't
simp
understand.
for?
I don't understand. Who else will I sing
Who
for?
else should we simp for?
All right. Okay. Anyway, that's those are the things I didn't like. Should we? Let's do pushback now, I guess.
I'm gonna push back.
Please, before you push back, I have my hands raised. I want to talk about other things that I noticed.
You want to
And
do
yes,
second round of
now,
bad?
yes, me, I'll complete because you keep asking me to drop my hand. So final thing that I noticed is it's technical, it's just small, very tiny, something sweet. When they were in the car after they came back from the market, there was one time Ograya was talking, nothing came out of his mouth. As in his mouth was moving actually. It was supposed to be saying something. It was when she was saying that why did you pay? And then he said something and I'm like, I can't hear you, and then words came out. I mean, then the idiot or whatever. But I think it's just like it's very unnoticeable.
Yeah, Shagan
Um.
mentioned it. There's some syncing. It seems like there was some
Oh, okay.
syncing issues. Yeah.
Ah, okay. I didn't hear that.
I
Okay,
will
Yeah,
and
also,
so
we
I
then
should,
want
we
us
should
to
to give
push
an
back on that
explanation.
as well.
Sorry, so I'm not here pushing back, guys. One other thing, my friend mentioned to me that scene where we said something was wrong with something didn't work in that something sweet where they were in the kitchen and talking. So my friend said is in the use of space. That space was too small. And so there's really nothing, even the delivery so it's going to affect everything, including visually. I've not tested this before, but I do know that space in film is extremely important, even in delivering, in delivering compelling scenes. So yeah, so that might be it. And then the second one is about the friendship in the last, my body God's temple. I get what Ed was saying about the friendship group, but because I like them, or rather I like that she had them. I like the idea of friends. Again, back to our problem of supporting characters. I like the idea of friends as a, I mean, plot device in where you use your mouth to confess your sins. But I don't want to use the word confess your sins. Yes, this should probably have been from like a therapist, but let's assume that this is one of those things that wasn't solved through therapy and the whole vaginal situation wasn't handled the way it did. I personally believe that scene where she talked about how a body God's temple thing, when she was talking to Zion, it should have happened talking to someone else, in which she discovers there was no time. I mean, we had seen her go kneel down in church to talk about, oh God, I was doing this for you, yada yada. But I feel like these are not things that you just naturally know that this is the reason why you can't open your legs, right? It's not, most times it's in your head, but half of the time when you say it out, it's usually teased out, and I feel like, and that's what makes the friendship superficial, because they weren't exactly talking about things deeply, and they weren't exactly there for her. So even amongst a large group of friendship, there should be one person in which you can always like, and that's usually how friendship works. It could be one person where she can really talk to, where this could have been something she discovers about herself and not just blabbing it out, or this my the way it just didn't come out right. And I felt like this story already gave her enough plot device to do that confession to not the way it happened. But anyways, that's just it.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Elizabeth. Pushback. Vanessa.
Yay! Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. So this might, I'm being very silly here. Somebody take me seriously. You will know that I like to play. But with the Ogrania thing, right? It is. I feel like I want to defend my man. Yes, a lot of it has to do with ADR and perhaps sinking. But Ogrania is really soft spoken. Sometimes when the man they talk, they be like saying mouth, not they move. No, I'm not even joking here. There was this interview during the press run for a lot of this. I think it was Punch or something, one of these things. And in the comment section, people say, made this man they raise his voice. Sorry, Ograya just soft spoken. He don't whisper. So, so, so I'm very sure. I'm very sure sometimes. When the thing they be like say they talk, him mouth not they move, one lie they talk. It's just that him mouth not green move. He do soft spoken. Or other times where in mouth they move, volume not they come out. It maybe he do talk, the microphone just didn't pick it up. She gets me, man. Not too much of my man. He do soft spoken in real life. He don't shout. Some of us, our voice is strong. Particularly me, my voice do hard. Like okay, that has been outside for 3 days, but but
Vanessa, just get quietly, kindly go and join the queue.
I'm not.
That
Edwin
Edwin
said, "Push you can join."
join the queue.
No, me, I've been in front of the queue for years, so that don't worry. Now me start the queue. But yeah, that's my defense for Guyana. On to my defense for Zamaka. I just want you people to know, as a Christian woman, I understand the reason for brandishing the ring very much. You know, especially for one who, my baby girl is a virgin. This is a virginal bride. She dey look the ring like, eh? I me self don't turn wife. Sorry, I understand that it might feel that choice might feel a bit jarring. But I think for the type of woman that she is, and maybe I'm doing a bit of DIY Nollywood here, but I don't think this is the type of DIY I like. Um, it makes sense that she cares about that ring. You don't know, especially given the fact that she asked him to wait. Well, we're working with what they're telling us. Well, they've shown us is that she asked him to wait and he waited. She's like, so this man indeed did wait for me. And we didn't have sex this entire time. And this man is married to me. There's an incredulousness to the scenario for that type of woman. And I think I understand the reason why she made that choice. I'm not saying you have to like it though, but I understand why she made the choice.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say I don't
But
even think it's just that kind of woman thing. As somebody who was also a bride and used to just look at my hand like that, it's just
Oh,
a bride
thank you. Some of us don't
thing.
have
no,
experience with a bride. Thank you
okay.
for this practical experience.
So like my problem with the shot isn't even that it would never happen. And maybe I'm readjusting my point. I think to me it feels almost like a drone shot. Like the way I complain about drone shots, it's that it feels a little cheap, and that's what everybody kind of does with. It's just I've seen it so much, and it doesn't feel as cute as a lot of the other aspects of the filmmaking is. It's it just feels like a drone shot doing establishing shots. It's like, all right, we get it. We've seen this hundreds of times, and honestly, it could have been because I feel the whole point of that almost mostly was trying to convey was just trying to convey that they were married. I think that's what that was mostly trying to do. It doesn't do as much for the other part of her character, even though her character would do that. It's just I just don't think it was needed. But yeah. Uchenna, you have your hand up. Do you have a pushback?
All right. I want to push back against Edwin. Um, I don't agree with the idea that what Nollywood really needs is adaptation of other literary materials. And I don't think that what made these particular films good is the fact that they are adapted from some other non-filmic source. After all, a movie like Swallow, that is adapted from a novel and it's not good. Half of a Yellow Sun, okay, not really a Nollywood movie, but again, adapted from a novel, not really that good. It's not as if novels have such great stories that are unheard of in Nollywood. After all, when you look at these three films, there's nothing particularly original in any of the stories. All of the stories have been dealt with innumerable times already in Nollywood. What makes the difference here is good filmmaking, good cinematic storytelling. That's what it is. It's not as if they got better because they were adapted from something else. So I really don't agree with that. My second pushback is also against Edwin. No offense to you, bro. Um, I don't really agree with the idea that this is middle Nigeria or that this represents, you know, some Nigerian analog to middle America. I think the characters in all three of these films are reasonably upper class. I mean, they're not super duper bling Lagosians, but they're upper class. If you look at what, the span of economic and social life in Nigeria, these people do not represent the middle of Nigeria. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. I mean, I like it, probably because it's the world that I'm most familiar with personally. And also because, I've always said that Nollywood needs to make movies for the world. And I think this particular social milieu is what we should be projecting. Maybe it's a personal bias on my part. I've said many times I do not like epics and I do not like rural stories. And, when people were saying they want authentic Nigerian stories, a lot of people were saying that should be rural stories and that should be epics. I don't know. I mean, those stories are real and they do represent real people in Nigeria, but I just don't think that's the image that we should be projecting to the world. I don't like watching Nollywood movies about people living in the bush personally. That's just me. But I'm fine with this. I think this is what we should be projecting, but I don't think it's middle Nigeria at all. I have one last pushback, which is also against Edwin. And Mr. C. The thing about the supporting characters, particularly in My Bodyguard's Temple, I get what you're saying, but actually, let me preface what I'm going to say in my pretentious way with 3 quotations. First one is from Stanley Kubrick, which is, film should be more like music than like fiction. The second one is from Miles Davis. Making music is about knowing which notes to play and which notes not to play. And the third is from Martin Scorsese. Cinema is about what is in the frame and what is not. And this is a problem I think that Nollywood always has about understanding what not to put into the frame, or knowing what emphasis to put on something when you put in the frame. And I think that's the reason why I find Nollywood movies so unwatchable lately, is because they don't have that musical feel. They don't have that rhythmic feel. And that's why I love so much about My Body, God's Temple, is that it was like music. It had a rhythm to it. And I'm going to say something else about Mr. C after this. It has a musicality to it, about knowing which notes to play, which notes not to play, which notes to stress, knowing which ones are the background vocals, knowing which one are the lead vocals. It wasn't a story. It's a 30-minute film, and it's not a story about this woman and her friends. In a way, the friends are a trope, but they're kind of like a Greek chorus that is meant for her to bounce her ideas off of. I don't think they needed to be fully drawn out. They're background vocalists, basically. And I think that they were given color and personality through the casting, through their different looks, and through their textures. So one of the problems that Nollywood has is that they're always putting emphasis on everything that is within the frame and putting the exact same emphasis on everything in the frame. That's why whenever there's a story about a man and a wife, for example, and the man happens to have a best friend, all of a sudden his story becomes a subplot which almost completely overcomes the main story, because there's this feeling that, if there's a character, we need to give him more things to do, and we need to give him a backstory, and we need to start talking all this stuff about him. But the story's not about him, and the story's not about the friends. So the last thing here, what Mr. C said about that first scene having that Edgar Wright rhythm and the rest of it not having that, I don't agree with that. There are lots of parts that have that, and that's exactly the reason that I said that this is the best director, because she just has those instincts to make her work musical, to have a certain rhythm, like when she pulled out the vibrator, or the time when she, they say we should do something else, and then we cut to them looking at the laptop, watching porn, bored in a bored manner, or in the very last scene when they're in the bar, holding each other, and the blocking in that scene was great, by the way. And then he whisked her off out of the frame and into the next frame where they're in their house, but we can still hear the sound of the bar. There were a lot of great scenes like that, and that was very, very Edgar Wright. So I don't agree with you that she did not use that kind of musical rhythm more than once. She just used it in different keys, which, is one of the things I think is very brilliant.
Oh, interesting. You know what? I'll take the last point on board, and maybe on a rewatch, I might feel differently. I do feel odd, and maybe again it might be about adjusting that point. But I don't know. The first time I watched it, I just didn't feel like that particular um way it played on the joke. It just felt off to me. But who knows? Maybe it's just within that something fell off with the tone um in that particular one. But again, these are small things. I would say
Yeah, and
though,
I forgot to add, she tried it again with that kneeling scene that I said I didn't like, but that was another very Edgar Wright thing. Although I think it would have worked better if it had been a match cut. But I think she does it several times, and I'm very impressed by that.
yeah, I'll have another rewatch and see whether I feel the same way. But I don't know. In that watch, that's what I felt. Um, then I would say about the friends thing. I agree with you about sort of that, and honestly, that's kind of how I tend to watch films. But I'm still going to feel. I still feel the same way I do about the friends because um there's one thing, you can have those people playing that particular stereotype. I just think the stereotype feels untrue. Like everybody can have a stereotype, like, and I know what you're talking about in terms of like backup vocals and that's fine. I've just never agreed with that from time immemorial. So repeating it and doing it um, with people who have slightly different looks isn't solving the issue for me. I just I think you could have done that best friend thing. You could have done it with the best friend thing and had best friend sort of do the backup vocals, and it would have felt just as true. There's just something felt that felt much more light and incorrect with doing off key. If you were going to stay with the music metaphors, for me, when just doing here, my friends are gonna hear my issues, and but I'll let Edwin answer any of the other pushbacks you had against him.
Yeah, I feel very honored that, I made Uchenna talk this much. Like, wow. Hear me. I'm very proud. But okay, to push back to your pushback, first of all, I think you're wrong about the friends. And the reason I think you're wrong is that, in fact, thank you for saying it because you reminded me. Before Oma meets her friends, she's on Reddit. My best friend Farida, who is listening to this, hi Farida, is on Reddit 24/7 about everything from serial killers to the best buys on Amazon. If you're on Amazon checking out Vaginasmus, you would have seen a toy. You would have seen every single possible version, ideation, experience about the thing that you're looking for. So if you're on Reddit and you've learned everything you need to learn, why are your friends sending you a toy? Like, are we insane? Like, what is that? Like, it just doesn't make sense that if you're going to have her, like, you're going to devote a scene to this woman researching her condition on Reddit and going in there, because Reddit is not even Google. Like, Google is for beginners. She is savvy. Like, the characterization is that Oma is a savvy babe who knows to go on Reddit and read on a specific subreddit about the thing that's wrong with her. And then she goes to her friends and they are giving her rudimentary advice about dildos. Like, no, it doesn't make sense. Like, I feel like to just say, like, one of the examples I love to give about how friendships can be nuanced is I May Destroy You by Michaela Cole. Her and her best friend, how they are introduced is that they are literally preparing to go clubbing and they're singing somewhere like, let me get my shot glass, I'm drinking shots. I can never forget that line because it feels like a lived in friendship. Like, these babes are brunch babes. They go out for brunch once every other month. They are not friends. In Lagos, we have millions and millions of brunch babes. Those people are not your friends. They are not the person you tell about your marriage. Because it's the same Lagos where people don't even put their husband on Bella Naija because of friends snatching husbands. So no, it makes no sense. Like in the characterization and the world in which you have built, it makes no sense that she doesn't trust her friends enough that she goes on Reddit to check out her vaginismus and then goes and does like some kind of dumbass that doesn't know anything and is like, oh, I've not been able to do. No, it doesn't make sense. And Uzamaka is a great writer, but this is something that just doesn't work in this universe. It doesn't work. The characterization is off for the
Yeah,
universe that she has
I don't
created,
really agree.
unfortunately.
I don't agree with what you're saying. The fact that somebody goes on Reddit doesn't mean that they necessarily have the courage to actually pull the trigger, so to speak. You can go on Reddit and read about
Yeah,
self.
but if you put it that way, then they should have just sent her the dildo. There was no need to have the brunch. There really was no need for the brunch. That's the point.
Okay,
The
here's
point
the
is that
thing.
those scenes
Here's the
are
thing. I
not
wanted to
useful.
respectfully and lovingly. I want to query you on something larger. I
Hmm.
didn't really partake in the Lost Days space, but I did
Yeah.
listen.
Hmm.
I remember. I think it was you. I remember somebody who complained about the female jailbirds.
I think
Sex.
that was Vanessa actually.
Was it?
That was Vanessa.
Me?
No, it was a male who said it. I remember it being a guy who
Ah,
said was.
Hmm.
It wasn't you.
Oh, you're referring about the jailbirds that were trying to like position the guy.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah,
you.
I did that.
And I was
Yeah.
like, and I remember being a bit baffled. I wanted to push back, but I didn't really feel like participating. That
Hmm.
you said that they had no contribution to the story, that they shouldn't
Hmm.
have been there, that they had nothing to do with the plot. But not everything's about the plot. They were there for color. And I mean, that's really how people do behave in jail. And they were just giving color to the jail scene. They're not there for the plot. And the brunch doesn't have to be there for the plot. It's giving you color. It's telling you something about this particular, our main character. It's telling you something about her lifestyle. It's telling you something about her social status. And it's telling you something about her relationships. It's not there for the plot per se, but it's there
Yeah,
to
but
give
then they could
color
have
to
just
the
had
scene.
brunch. They could have just had brunch.
Can
Like,
I say
that's the
that?
point.
Can I just add that exactly how you feel about this? In fact, that particular point Ichena you made is how I feel about this babe's backstory that she gave. And as I have a minor that when I said I have a minor pushback for something sweet in defense of Dika, I was like I didn't mind the sort of backstory she gave about her ex-husband because it's part of what gave texture to her character. It's not just now it's
I
just
don't think it gave
some
texture to her character. I mean, it gave, you can say it gave texture to her character, but I think it was texture that wasn't, um, built upon. It
surface.
wasn't built
Well,
upon.
that was that,
Like
well, you don't
the
have to
conflicts that we
for the
dealt with,
context, right?
the sides of her personality that we saw had nothing to do with the aspects of her personality that were shaped by her past. So I didn't think it was necessary.
beg to differ there,
You sound
Yemi.
like you're
I would
trying
beg
to
to
make
differ there.
texture a bit more than texture.
Yes,
Texture is just something that's supposed to be there for,
dimension. That's all.
just something that adds a little more something to her rather than her just being an older woman.
Yes, and
It's just something that
I hate
makes it a
to
little bit more
agree with
interesting.
Mr. C, but I didn't hate that scene either. I just like, I think like with Elizabeth, I think how we transitioned into that scene should have been smoother. I think that's what
Yeah,
I
I
had a
think it
problem
could have
with,
been
was how
done
harsh it
cuter.
was.
Yeah, I think it could have been placed cuter,
Do you know
but
what I
yeah.
Exactly,
think
but I
my main
don't think I
problem?
had a problem with that exposition into who she was.
Do,
I think I don't hate it. I don't think I hated it. I just think it's how harsh it fits into it all. I think we needed something more to transition from where we were under the tree into the kitchen. Something about that it's that transition that's off. I don't think it's necessarily that scene that's wrong.
do you know what I think I disliked about that? Like in general, I do not like backstory in place of personality, but I could have forgiven it in general. I think what I didn't like about it is that it was kind of long and it was time that could have been spent showing us the chemistry between these
That
two
I will
people.
agree with. I think it could have been cut, but I don't know how we could have cut that up. I do agree, and I think I did say that to Dika. I think I did mention it to him. I told him it feels a bit long and we should have cut it up. I don't know how
I
we can
think it
cut
could
it
have
up.
been shorter.
Yes.
I think it could have been shorter, and I think it could have come, well, not that lengthy, just in when they were getting, if they had shown us them getting to know each other, right, in which it would have helped understand their personality. And it could have just been something in which almost every other, I don't want to compare, like, but most films that I see when I try to, because every dialogue is purposeful. I, dialogue should be purposeful. Dialogue shouldn't be there. I also do not like backstories, but I don't want to hear that a character has been giving backstory unless it is important to characterization or something that is going to happen in the movie. So if he had asked a question like, how come your son is that big?
Like
And
she
she
literally
says,
has a son. He has a son. Like that is
yeah,
a
yeah. So if
opener.
he has that, there is a son. He
And the
could have
son was
just
there
said,
in the first
how,
episode. The son was there in the first scene. The son was waiting for her when they
yes.
like.
So it could have just entered, it could have segued into that whole conversation, and it couldn't have been long, it didn't have to be long. It could have done how come your son is that big? And she's like, psh, add him at 22, don't ask, long story. And do you understand? Like, it could be something in a way where it, we are okay with that line, it's giving us backstory, and then chop chop, they can have that, use that whole time to, we can see our two leads fall in love, or find a middle ground in which there is something it is that they are falling in love over, not just because he's fixing our website and she needs love, right? So it shouldn't be something that, I mean, overall, I love you so much, it's so sweet. But then, yeah, I think that's what's missing there, is the fact that that conversation was too long. It really shouldn't, it didn't have to be that long.
Okay, all right. All right, I think we should do our summaries now. But I think, Shagun, you have your hand up. Is there pushback for somebody before we do our
Yeah,
summary?
pushback. Just a pushback for Ed. The friends. I mean, I think we're assuming that the friends can relate, and that there's no indication that any of the friends are married, and there's no other indication that they would even relate. I don't think they even clocked the condition she had. You know, for them, you are married, you were a virgin, so you are scared of. You've never had sex, so you are scared of sex. End
But
of.
they sent her a
And for
dildo.
them. Hmm? Yeah,
They
yeah,
sent her a
yeah.
dildo.
You're scared. You're scared of sex. You've not had sex before, so try and pleasure yourself on your own first, and see
I
whether you
think it's
like
the
it.
lack of intimacy with the friends too. And maybe that I don't want
That's what
to
no,
make
it's
assumption,
that's
Ed, if
Okay.
that's
that's
my
what you
For
point.
me,
My
mean.
point. I
because
But
don't
it's the
you,
lack
because
of
I
right
don't
now,
mind them doing
intimacy.
everything they are doing. I don't mind the friends doing everything they did.
mm,
My point is that
yeah,
they were not good actors. They did not sell it. They did not feel like friends. It was basically
Or
a
it
broad.
wasn't well written in that manner, because I personally feel like even if they had all of that going, there could have been that one single friend, which I believe that every time, and really when you see supporting characters on screen, or friends, sisters,
It's
brothers,
just that no,
neighbors,
it's
they
not that
serve as plot
brunch is not the place
device.
they have that kind of conversation. It's not the place to have
Yeah,
that kind of
yeah.
conversation.
They,
It's
they
just not
serve as
brunch.
plot device, which
yes, they were
which our
there.
director could have used
Yeah, they were there
to
to add.
to
They were there
to
to
the
add
max.
color. They were there to add color, but I just feel like we shouldn't assume that they even knew what the condition was and what it was about. So
And there's no
that's just for me. Then my second pushback is to Uchenna, who is talking about because when Ed raised the topic about this series bringing out middle Nigeria, it's true, because whether you like it or not, Nollywood is one of two things. It's either we are trying to chase festival films and doing poverty porn, or we are celebrating wealth. So if it's not wealth like Lucky Babes or something, it's wealth publicizing fraud and then ill-gotten gains and all of that. So it has just been a very, very unsettling mix of both. And there's no middle Nigeria there. And when you say the characters, like especially in something sweet, that they are not actually middle. They are middle because in Nigeria, if you are not driving a Benz upwards, you are middle class. And when I say Benz, we're not driving the Benz that is 190 million. You are middle class. So that is the thing. So the type of middle class, there's a middle Nigeria that a lot of us relate to, but we don't see it on screen. Our everyday lives, whether is it even the tech bros, even the starting tech bros uh are middle Nigeria, a lot of that, and there's nothing for us to relate to. So this actually put that on a map, and that is where I agree with Ed over what Uchenna said. Yeah, so that's it for me as far
Okay,
as
let
Also,
me, let
Pushback
me,
is
let me say
just to
concerned.
add
very,
a
very
bit
quick.
of
Let me just say
pushback
very
to
quick.
that. Yeah.
It depends on what you mean by middle. Like when you say middle in the sense of just ordinary people, I understand what you mean, that
Yeah, so
they're not
that's what I want to explain. So
stereotypes in terms of either of it, but in terms of either extreme. But the part that I disagreed with was he compared middle Nigeria to middle America. Middle America means a
yeah,
specific
so
kind of thing.
let me explain what I mean by middle America was always aspirational because middle America in cinema started during the Great Depression, and they were trying to project a different kind of America to people. It was always aspirational, and it was aspirational for a middle class white picket fence, two children living in the suburbs. That was middle America. And middle America, by any definition, is not rich. It's not rich. It's not elite. It's not rich. It's, oh, I'm able to afford the American life, middle America.
Yeah,
And
see,
in
but here's
Nigeria,
the thing. I get
this
what you're
kind of
saying,
stories,
but when people think of
no,
middle
so
America, they think about people who work in factories, who don't live,
no, they don't. Like,
who don't live
but,
on the
but you
No,
can't, they
outskirts
factory
can't,
of
workers
no,
are
they
not
can't,
California.
they,
middle. Fact,
Yeah, okay. All right. Sorry, I muted everyone because I don't actually care for that. I don't care for the argument, to be honest. I think we get the general gist. You guys disagreeing about something I'm not even sure is that important because I think both Jenna and Edwin understand this middle version ish. Just, yeah, cool. All right, let's do a summary, please. You see, we could have been doing more argument on the pushback, but people use 1.5 hours to do good. Ngwanu, summary time, please. Vanessa, give us your summary.
Not Mamman Gaddafi coming out of nowhere. Wow, such a dictator. Anyway,
dictator.
my summary, ladies and gentlemen. Zikoko Life. Let's do this again. Why don't we? You know, get another set of writer directors. You know, commission a couple more, maybe three, another next set of three. Because this was great, guys. As you could tell, we did an hour and a half talking about the things we liked. Because by and large, we're arguing about tiny little minutiae here. And when overall, at a grand picture, like if you zoom out, it's all great. A lot of technically strong films, 30 minutes all packed with incredible writing, incredible directing, some really amazing performances, some that are a discovery to others, some that, I'm like, wow, okay, I didn't expect it, Andrew. But like genuinely, a lot of it is really good. A lot of it is very rooted in the Nigerian experience, whether middle or not. It's the Nigerian experience. And I think we've been craving the Nigerian experience that doesn't feel exaggerated or or squeezed so tight for trauma porn or poverty porn. It's just people and people that you know, people you can recognize, people that maybe might be you or someone you know. And it's told with a certain level of care. So yeah, let's do this again, Zikoko Life and Anita and Blessing and all the directors and all the writers and all the actors. You guys did amazing. Congratulations. And I hope you all are very proud of yourselves, guys. It's all saved in my YouTube and I will be revisiting these again.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Vanessa. Elizabeth, do you want to give us your summary?
Yes, this is such triumph of filmmaking, at least Nigerian filmmaking for everyday ordinary Nigerians. And I say this because, there's this assumption that, critics, reviewers, people want them to be perfect, and nobody's asking for perfection. I'm just saying, give me something to be proud of, something, I'm not asking for bare minimum because I don't want that shit. I want something really good, some sort of rep. And this is a triumph of making from the Zikoko and team. Everybody well done. To all the directors, Olamide, Dika, Uzo, producers, Blessing. Thank you, Blessing, especially for cutting that thing down. Cause thank you. I don't know how you did it. Miracle. Maybe the more you guys cut it, the more you get really great at this thing. And this is, for everyone. Then,
Overall summary, I finished praising Zikoko. Overall summary, I really love the striking visuals. For me, it's the vibrant colors, the FE, color palette, the effective aesthetic progression. Personally, for me, I really love seeing from the traditional to the new modern across the films. Great. The authentic characters, these characters feel so real. They're incredibly real. And the actors, I'm really so happy about the use of nuanced use of non-verbal cues, especially portraying internal conflict. This is really great. This is something we hardly see because we're so used to talking through our internal conflicts, which really annoys me. This is really great. Well done. The writing, especially the dialogue, is sharp, quotable in places, and I really like that. The characters are well written with sense of realism. What else? What else? There was something I mentioned in my good that I'm going to mention again. Each of the shorts employs this book ending way, the symmetrical opening and closing scenes to showcase, and I say this effectively, the character journey. So who they were in the beginning is not who they were at the end, and it's not what we're saying. And I really, really love that character journey and transformation. Thank you very much, Zikoko. Let's do this again. Kudos to you.
Wow, that's a long summary. Anyway, thanks, Elizabeth. Takba, do you want to give us your summary for these Coco Life shorts?
Yeah, it was really well done. I think what stood out to me personally, because I stumbled on the short films by accident on IG, so I didn't know what to expect. But what really stood out to me was the color grading, the film title cards, and yeah, the storytelling. The storytelling. What else? Yeah, that's it. Again, all of the stuff that I have to say, I think probably an in-depth um analysis of certain parts of the films as it regards like society and all of that would probably be a better place for me to say some of the things I need to say, especially around my bodyguard's temple. Um yeah, but overall it was really nice. I also agree with, maybe now is a good time to say, I also agree with Edwin, but I don't know how I missed this because I ran a I ran a fashion brand for a few years, so it should have stuck out to me. Maybe it did, and I didn't remember. But she had a lot of time on her hands for someone that runs a fashion brand. Also, I think I expect, and this is so little, it's not a big deal, but I think I expected that the person she would buy the fabrics from would be a man, because a lot of times when I would go and buy fabrics, especially like in like really like large amount of fabrics, it was usually men that I dealt with. I know this is random. I don't know if people would agree. I don't know if anyone will
Yes, they are
have.
the ones that usually import. So the women that
Thank
import are in
you.
Lagos Island.
Yes.
Hairdresser is mostly men.
It's mostly, so I think I was confused when I saw the woman. I was like, this doesn't make any, like, from what I remember, wearing a band was usually like, Igbo men that I dealt with, older Igbo men that I dealt with, and like, so I think I was a bit confused. I also didn't think she bought the right amount of fabrics for someone that is wearing.
Summary.
Sorry. Yeah, yeah, okay. That is the summary. That was what I think. I found that to be a bit weird in hindsight, but outside of that, everything else was fine. I also agree with Vanessa. Like, honestly, the woman, I mean, her showing her ring made sense as a Jesus baby. I don't know, like that's something that I feel like they do a lot. But outside of that, that's all I have to say. Every other thing I'll keep it to maybe another um space. Yeah, so because I have a tendency to ramble, so let me just keep my mouth shut now. But yeah, thank you. This was really nice.
All right. Thank you. All right, Echena, do you want to give us your summary of what you thought of Zikoko Live shorts?
Okay, yeah, right now Nollywood is at a crossroads. We don't know where it's going to go in terms of distribution and content. And I think this shows us the way forward of the kind of content that I think we should be producing if we want to take it global, which I think is necessary for survival. This to me felt like, almost like, the cinematic equivalent of Afrobeats. And the way that Afrobeats has taken over the world, I think this is the kind of content we should be producing if we want to take over the world. So kudos to Zikoko. I hope they keep on doing it. I hope all the directors give us some more work because all of them did a fantastic job. Uzomaka Power, Best Director in Nigeria. As I said, I was really expecting that when I said it, it would turn into a huge controversial statement that would cause a massive argument that would last at least 30 minutes. But so many people seem to agree with me, which I think is fantastic. And I'm really looking forward to more work from her in particular, but all the directors who worked here were great. I just have to shout out Mohammed Atta, who has always been the best cinematographer in Nigeria, but I think he really he just went above and beyond here. So again, Zikoko is on the right track, and I hope other people follow their lead. I hope that other Nollywood producers can take the right lessons from what they're doing.
Yeah. Ditto. I'm really getting with Mohammed Atta's cinematography, and I have to say I do like what I see. All right, Shagun, do you want to give us your summary?
Yeah, so it's the entire project was a breath of fresh air. You can see that there was a director's treatment, there was a lookbook, and everybody followed it accordingly, as opposed to what I normally see where almost all departments involved is trying to publish their portfolio in one film. There was a cohesiveness to all the actors. All the actors were acting as one body, as opposed to everybody trying to just give a different variation of their monologue that they submitted for auditions, and everybody's just trying to outperform one another. So it was good to see all of that. I'm hoping that they continue in this line. Yeah, it was amazing. And like I said, I don't, I'm not crazy about this genre of film, but the fact that I've watched almost all of them 2 or 3 times, I mean, speaks to the notion that once you do something the right way, regardless of the subject matter, it will go a long way. Yeah, thanks.
All right, thanks, Shagun. Edwin, do you want to give us your summary?
I know I'm a bad child, but why am I last? But we will discuss that one later. Anyway, I really loved Zikoko Life. I think that this was a very cohesive. I think it worked because there was an overarching thematic focus for the project, and the stories that were chosen because they had something to say about that thematic focus, which is how women like navigate relationships and navigate love and navigate autonomy in middle Nigeria. Sorry, Uche, I'll keep using that. Middle Nigeria. But yeah, so I love that. I love that they were writer directors who, you know, who ideated and then brought that idea to life on film. I love that this was made by a media company, because perhaps maybe the problem we have in Nollywood is that we have film companies which are created by producers who don't know how to tell stories. They don't understand storytelling. They understand production. And so having a media company who has had to tell stories and had to do views where you know that the story is working because your views are high and low has helped in large part to create this. So I would say congratulations to Blessing Uzi at Blue House, who is doing fantastic work. They were the showrunners for this project. Congratulations to Anita of Zikoko, who, midwife this project. And we want more of this. Please, this is my final thing. PSA. Dika Swim is at 100,000. Ozamaka Swim is at 20,000. Lekon and Daniel Swim is at 200,000. We need 1 million. 1 million. Because until they hit 1 million and Zuitu pays them, I think, is it 10,000? I'll be waiting. They will not see money to make the next set of 3. So please tell your friends, tell your father, take it to church, use it, do home cinema, let it reach 1 million. Inugo?
I'm
Yeah.
sending through broadcast message on WhatsApp. This work that people are giving me, will I get caught?
It can be
Hey, no,
arranged though. Talk to Anita, it can be arranged.
your cut is season 2, right? Okwaya. All right. No, I can at least second Edwin's, please do watch and send and make as much noise as you can about it. Mrs. C, your summary, please.
My summary is tell your mommy, tell your daddy, tell your neighbors, tell your cousin, tell everybody, watch this series. It's been a while since we had something that I was not embarrassed to show other people outside. So, special thanks to everybody involved in this. I'm really happy this exists, and I had a great time watching this.
Yeah. So, obviously, it's not very often that I have to say enough and cut the goods because people just want to keep on speaking, and we did an hour and a half. So that should tell you something about the space. And yeah, I enjoyed the body of work, to be honest, as a 3. And I mentioned, sort of like my preferences in some of the shots, but I enjoyed the body of work. I do want to mention though that, both for people who think we should go in this direction, and in fact, basically it's an original pushback, I guess. But whether we should go into this direction versus whether Zamaka is our best director, is that this is these are shorts. Shorts are a different beast, and I think that's something to be very wary of in terms of transitioning into features, and also in terms of paying filmmakers. Not a lot of money in shorts, to be honest. In fact, very little money in shorts. So understand why a lot of people don't do it. And if people want to transition into this, we have to find the model that would be able to somewhat sustain this kind of thing. And anyway, that's a topic for a different day. But I do wish everybody involved in this much more money, because there's clearly a lot of talent behind the people who put this down, who worked on this. Blue House, you guys, this is the first thing I guess I'm seeing from Blue House. I can't wait to see more from them. Well done, Zikoko, and wish you
Sorry,
guys all the best.
Mr. C, before you go, let me just ask people on the call. Blue House has a film in the cinemas called Freedom Week, so that's on Saturday. Really great. If you have money, you can actually also even steal the money. Go and watch Freedom Week.
Even if you don't have money, you can still. Okay, all right. Okay. All right, thanks. All right, so next week on Nollywood Film Club, I think we're going to be doing sort of half year-ish review. Jan to July, I think we'll probably do. But thank you everybody who has listened to this space, and I thought this space was going to be short, given that the combined minutes of this was something like 80 minutes long or something like that, or 80 minutes long, because people say the reason why people were long last time was because we did 8 hours. This time was hour and 20 minutes and people are still verbose. Anyway,
It's 3 films.
yeah, people always
Your word of the week, Rebels.
I'm talking about other people. This thing. Anyway, we'll see you next week. Hopefully, I'm sure it's going to be another long one though, because that one's we're talking about movies from Jan to June, but, it will be another fun space. It's always fun speaking with you guys and arguing with you guys. Thanks, and, see you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Adios.
Thanks for listening to the episode. If you enjoyed listening and would like to join live, just follow us on Twitter at Iroko Critic and join us every Sunday 6 p.m. West African time on our spaces.